Good evening, chat. Hello. It is Thursday night, which means it's time for the Thursday night show because otherwise, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So, uh, welcome to the show. My name is Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I'm an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and tonight we are going to be talking about quite a few things. Some of it's serious, but mostly the main theme of tonight is people to suffer. And it's people you're not going to feel bad about. So we're going to get to that. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. We are live tonight, a lot of different places. We are live tonight on Kick. You know, a lot of you, a bunch of you have been asking me to do Kick, so we'll do Kick for a little while if that is something you guys want. I know you guys wanted Rumble, but only like 4 or 5 of you actually use Rumble, so I was like, I guess. But we'll try this for a little while. If it doesn't work out, we'll go back to Rumble. But for right now, we were just trying this out. We are also live on Twitter, as always. As always, on Twitter, we're live. We're also live on YouTube. And last but not least, we're live on Locals. And if you guys don't know what Locals is everything we wanted Patreon to be, but it never turned out to be. Without all the nonsense and without all the censorship. So at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, guys, join up for free. You guys could take advantage of the Thursday live chat, which here apparently I did not put up yet. And is up now, and you guys could join there and hang out for Hangout. It's a very fun time there. And you guys can, post everything you're not allowed to post here or on Twitter or on Kick. You guys could post there. If it's pretty good, I'll see it, and I think it'll be pretty good. So just go ahead and go over there. You guys could do it for free. There is no obligation to join the chat. That is just for everybody to hang out and have a great time. So potentiallycriminal.locals.com. We do 2 live shows a week. Those live shows are Monday nights at 9. And then right after this show, we hang out. And those shows, guys, are for members only, the people who support. For support, it's $3 a month. You pay for 10 months. You get 2 months free. I think it's a pretty good deal. If you're not sure if it's for you, use a promo code SUMMERTIME2025, and you'll be all set. So I hope to see you guys there tonight. Another says we want Clyde. Well, I can work on that here. Let me see. Clyde, come here, buddy. Clyde. Come here, Bubba. Hey, come here. Come on. He just came in the doorway. He's like, fuck you, fat man. Come here, buddy. Do you want your treats? Yeah, these are your treats, Bubba. Come here. Come on. Hey, wait. Up here, buddy. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Yes, you guys get your Clyde tonight. Right off the bat. Fresh and hot. Got your hot young Clyde. And, okay, over in Locals, you guys are just spelling you're building a tower. So, but I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you guys all had a very nice week. It's Labor Day, chat. We're to the end of summer. Where the hell did summer go? Where did summer go, man? I don't know where it went. But summer's over. Summer's over coming up there. So, yeah. Weird. It's weird and not funny at all. If you guys have not been following what we've been doing during the week, we've been covering the Cardi B assault trial. She was sued by a woman for $25 million, alleging that Cardi B, when she was pregnant in 2018, the security guard was filming her, and Cardi B attacked her for filming her, like, to sell to TMZ and shit. And Cardi B, like, cut her face up with her big, long hooker fingernails. And today, actually, we wrapped up day 3 of the trial, and they're done. They are going to have closing arguments on Tuesday. They're probably going to have a verdict on Tuesday. And yeah, it was like the biggest bullshit case ever. But I do think it's fun. It's a nice little break from all the crazy shit we've seen. It's a nice civil trial. I think it'll go really well. And then next week, we are going to start the, as I told you guys, my plan was to show you a regular murder trial. And it's going to be some dudes down in Atlanta. And it's a 3-day murder trial. It's like every other place in the world. Every other murder trial in America. A couple days long. And just to show you guys, I want to show you guys some stuff that's normal. And then we'll go back to all the big, sexy, fun cases. But I think these are just as important because it really shows you how the rest of everything else works. Not everything's Kieran Reed. Not everything's Wendy Adelson. Not everything's Courtney Clenny. A lot of it's very basic. A lot of it's very, very basic. So, something out there. Something out there to think about. Katie says, pause the stream, I need to do the dishes. Well, we're not doing that. And then EDW Raptor for 10 sobs. Can you give me some a woo, Clyde? Come on. A woo. You're going to do an a woo? I guess we'll have to do the fake a woo or the substitute a woo. All right, Bubba. Well, I got to get to work here, okay? So I'm going to set you on the ground. All right. All right. All right. Here you go, buddy. All right, chat. So sorry about it. Hold on 1 second here. I got to fix something. It's a little weird. My chair, it's, got to put the chair back up a little bit. Anyway, there we go. We're all back to normal. But yes, thank you for your support and generosity. Remember, chat, do your best to help make America green again and pray the gray away. Grays, this is not your community. Become green. Become green. You'll be welcomed with open arms. So thank you for your support, EDW Raptor, and your generosity. Like Connie Death Squad says, member for 6 months. Yeah, basically how the law works for everybody else. Yes. I think it's critical, though, you guys see how it works. Because there's so much to it. You guys need to know. You guys need to know how the law works for everybody else. I think it's only fair. I think it really forces you guys to understand what's out there. And I think you have to see it that way. Because if you don't, I mean, you're not really learning anything. And I don't think that's fair to you guys. I don't think that's fair at all. And let me see here. What is the name of this guy's trial? It's going to be a guy named Roderick Teasley. Roderick Teasley. And then coming up, we are going to do Nicole Mitchell. She's the senator out in Minnesota. We'll watch her body cam. If you guys are interested in that, we'll watch her trial. She was on trial for burglary. So it was really interesting. She got caught red-handed. But I guess it was pretty interesting how they tried it. So, but yes, how the law works like every other time. May as well put it like that. Let's see here. Johan saying you say gamer words. Yes, you can. Let's see here. Locus is a place where you tart out your spouse. Well, yes. Some people do that. Some people do that. We don't do that here, though. Yes, Donnie, this man wants to die for his country. Oblige him. Yes. Another says, I want to rid of Frank's hearing. Well, we're going to touch on some of that. Let's see here. Let's see here. Sweet Tooth Fairy says, we no problem seeing the normal ones, but it is fun watching the craziest. I agree. The craziness and the outlandish is really important to see. For Kieran Reed, we are going to be watching Trooper Proctor's administrative hearing that he has in front of the Massachusetts State Police. We are going to look at that on probably Saturday. Probably watch it during the day. It's kind of long, but I think it's important for you guys because I get it's Kieran Reed. You might be Kieran Reed it out. But this is the only time you're ever going to see things like this. where you live, your state police force, you're never going to get to see these hearings. These hearings are never going to be televised. But I think it's important for you guys to see what these look like and see how they're televised. I think it's very, very, very important. So we are going to take a look at that, and it will be very interesting. So just so you guys are aware, that is, like I said, that's kind of one of the things I think you guys just need to understand. I feel, I might not be getting the views and clicks for things, but I kind of feel like you guys need to see this stuff. And besides, it's not like I'm missing out on a bunch of clicks and views anyway. So that's why we're doing all these things. We make our own path here, chat. We make our own path. All right. Let's see. Where are we? Aaron Hack saying Nicole Mitchell, she's the Minnesota senator, was one of the most unlikable people I've ever seen on the stand. Yeah, I heard it was really bad. Winter Soldier says one of the best trials was the Mario Batali trial. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good one. Right in the middle of Johnny Depp, that trial he had. Dee Dee is saying, do they stream or televise trials in Ohio like the Cleveland area? Sometimes they do, but once again, guys, I try to avoid, unless there's something crazy out there, I try to avoid stuff in the Northeast Ohio area, guys. This is where I practice. I'm out here. This is like, that's the world I'm in. I generally try to avoid swimming in the pond, like, peeing in the pools I swim in. So that's why I don't do it. That's why I don't do it. As much as I'd like to. Now, there are some times where we've had other trials and things going on. For example, that stuff that's going on down in Cincinnati where the guy ran down the cop and killed him. We're going to cover that. We're also going to cover Bob Vogel, the competitive shooter out in Western Ohio. We're going to cover all those places. Like I said, I try to avoid where I'm at personally. It's just, I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, basically, I don't want to shit where I eat. Afro Man, yes. Afro Man is another thing. That one, though, I reached out to Afro Man's attorney. He didn't want to get back to me. So I think we're kind of just waiting on that. And remember, Afro Man is not set until 2026 for trial. I think in February. So, yes, don't pee in your own pool, pee in other people's pools. Exactly. 100%. I think that's the way you need to do it. Let's see. What was the one I missed? Somebody said something. Somebody said, stop repeating yourself. But that's what I do. 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 Let's see here. There was a Cleveland Ferretta hearing I sent you a while ago. It looked fun. Yeah, and I get that, but like I said, guys, I try to stay out of stuff in Cleveland just because it's. I think it's rough there. I think it's rough there. My nervous tick is repeating myself. A lot of people do that when you're trying to get that filler going instead of going or it's a very common thing. It's not necessarily my nervous tick. A lot of people have that for a nervous tick. Do you see Brandon Herrera commenting on the Catholic school shooter and mentioning him? I did, and we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to the shooter. We're gonna get to the shooter. So, and you mean you don't want to talk about a judge drinking adult beverages from their nether regions? Well, we actually are going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that tangentially. So it's been 10 minutes, chat. It's time to go. Oh, it's something that we haven't had to talk about for a while because nothing happened. But the Rekieta question. Yes, chat. The gayest men in Minnesota. And you're thinking, well, wait, there's 3 of them in this case, this situation. They're all gay. In one corner, you have Nick Rekieta. And you have Patrick Melton. And then in the other corner, you have Aaron Imholt. And we talked about this before, guys. This goes on to the idea of the harassment restraining order that Aaron filed a while back. And it's alleging that Melton and Nick are harassing Aaron. You'd say, that's a little weird. Yeah, most states don't have this. Minnesota is is weird. We've learned that lately. Minnesota is very weird at what it does. So Aaron did this, and it's a harassment restraining order. And if you remember, I still think the odds are against Aaron ultimately, because one of the people he's pursuing this against is Nick. And Nick is the husband of the victim in the criminal case Aaron is facing. Remember, he shared that nude of Rekieta. So do I think he's going to be able to get it? I still think that the odds are against him. And then for Patrick Melton, I think that it's kind of like the court's going to say is gay internet shit. But if you notice, what do those guys do right off the bat? They started fucking around and trying to antagonize. And as people, have tried to explain, when you're being accused of harassing someone, the first thing you should not be doing is fucking harassing the person. What you should be doing is ignoring them and showing it you don't fucking care. And you notice what's happened lately. Someone's gotten through to Nick and someone's gotten through to Melton. And overall, they've been radio silent. That's like the smart play, or talk about other things. But, that's it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens, but we have some updates in the case. We have some updates. Yes. And the thing is, this is basically the HRO has been extended out over about a month and a half now. This case was supposed to be decided back in July. Aaron got an attorney. That attorney promptly withdrew. And Aaron had tried to get another attorney. And now we're to the point where on the first, Aaron got a new attorney. It was set for August 5th. And Aaron got a new attorney. Wow, my voice cracked a little there. That was not the best. And then here's what happened. There was an attorney who entered an appearance for Aaron for the Steel Toe Morning Show. And what did this attorney, and here's I'm about to sneeze and it won't let me sneeze. So this is a certificate of representation. And this is filed here. And this is just notice to the parties that, hey, I'm here now representing. And so what happened, Aaron got a new attorney, Brian Johnson from Heller and Thean. I don't know if that's Helen it's Heller, not Helen Keller chat. So who knows? But anyways, he is an attorney out of St. Cloud, Minnesota. I looked him up. He appeared to be not too shabby. And remember, Nick and Patrick have Frank White, the people behind that beautiful Frank's motion. Really, those are, once again, I still don't understand why Melton went with this guy. Like, why would you go with the guy who fucking lost and looked like a laughingstock? I don't know. It seems like you could spend your money elsewhere and get a more guaranteed shot at things. But hey. So anyways, this was filed on August 1st that he is joining the fight. Brian Johnson is. And from there, he did file a request. And this is a request. And he's telling the judge, dear judge, he's coming in and telling the judge, hey, I represent Aaron. I need some time to prepare. And please give me a continuance to allow me to do this. And all it says is, I represent the petitioner, Aaron Imholt, in the above referenced matter. There's a hearing scheduled for Tuesday, and I believe he meant to say Tuesday, August 5th, because the 1st is a Friday. So I think he means Tuesday, August 5th. I was just retained by Mr. Imholt, and I respectfully request the court grant a brief continuance so I can adequately prepare for my client's case. Such preparation includes, but is not limited to, reviewing multiple documents and videos, as preparing my client and the witnesses. And he said, please contact my paralegal. And he's, signed Brian Johnson. Now, this was sent to Frank White. And this is it's an interesting letterhead where you have, there's nothing wrong with having this here, this part. That's normal. But having all of this here is kind of that's a little different than normal, but that makes sense. Having the letterhead up top, totally fine. Just having that advertising at the bottom, it's advertising your court filings. But hey, whatever. That's what they use. I'm not here to judge. I just thought that was a little different. So what happened? What happened from there? Well, That same day, chat, that same day, the judge or the hearing officer on 8/1 said reset, but schedule as soon as possible. So that's how fast this happened. That's how fast it happened. Isn't that kind of interesting? Isn't that kind of interesting how fast that happened? So the judge says, fine, we're going to do this as quick as possible. It's set for tomorrow. And then what did you see? Notice the date on this, though. When he sent this in, August 1st at 3:50 p.m. So what happened here? Well, normally when there's been a filing, Frank White's been able to rip something out. And by Frank White filing something, we know what that means. Nick has been putting it together. Nick has been putting it all together there. And, hold on. Who got some congrats? Anime Exceptionalism real quick is saying, yesterday was my 5-year sobriety mark from abusing pills. Congratulations. Glad you're still here with us. I still have a lot of work to reach my long-term goals, but I'm closer and happier now in life. Hey, you know what? That's awesome news. That's awesome news. Like I said, I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad you made it out of that place. And that's a tough place to get out of. A lot of people don't. So congratulations on that. And I hope you've got a good support network around you. I hope you have a sponsor and other people that care about you, and you're able to, utilize those resources and just keep up the good work, man. One day at a time. And yeah, congratulations. Congratulations so very much. Very much indeed. Also, you're saying for another $5, thank you, Sean, for keeping me content on my journey in life. I meant what I said. You're my favorite law tuber and one of my favorite content creators. Well, I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I'm a half retarded monkey who wears pants, I feel like, most of the time. But I appreciate that you get a lot out of it, because a lot of times I feel like I'm just up here acting like a moron. So once again, congratulations on your recovery. And here's to 5 years down, another 5 decades. I mean, I assume that's probably gonna be longer than you could live, but like another 50 years of this, 5 decades of it. Congrats. So Monreza says people want credit for some shit they're supposed to do. Yeah, well, you know what? It's tough, man. People make mistakes and they end up in a bad spot. And if they're able to fight out of that mistake, I think, they should be like, hey, congratulations. I'm not saying he should be the mayor of the city or get the key to the city, but you know what? People do good work. They should be, you should say, hey, good job. Good job. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, but anyways, congrats again, Anime. I appreciate you. And like I said, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it through. And I'm sure everybody in your life is very much as well. Nico says, you know what else is tough? Wearing a Baldo. It is. That'd be a very tough life. That'd be a very tough life. Yeah. You think you're hard? You think you got a problem? I had to wear a Baldo for a whole month. All right. Anyway, we're going to move on. So what did we find out? Well, this is a banger that came out August 2nd at 1:21 p.m. from Frank and the boys. Once again, is it really Frank White, or is it Frank White doing what Nick tells him to do? I don't really know. I have my theories. I'm sure you have yours, but let's find out. I mean, it's over a fucking day late. It's almost 24 hours late. So does that mean Nick was sleeping it off? I don't know. Do you think he sat there and was just screaming at his kids in the back of the car on the way to something? I don't know. Do you think that he was having to dig through piles of trash in the house? I don't know. But anyway, this was a response, and this is the theatrics in this are very good. So they say we're responding to the request of a continuance, and it says, as with petitioner's first request, the respondent opposes his third request for a continuance. once again, it doesn't affect your rights. You have filed. Your rights have been preserved. At the third point, though, remember, this isn't 1. We're past that. This isn't 2. Still, we're past that. Now it's 3rd. I understand at the 3rd continuance, you're like, okay, this is a bit much. So, like, if you want to oppose on the 3rd one, I get it. But here's the problem. This is the proper time to oppose. This was not. This was not a time to oppose. This is one where you should have been like, okay. But you didn't. You guys went along with this and you opposed all the way back at the beginning when you probably should have been like, yay. Instead, you're like, no! Well, now you seem unreasonable. Remember, this is tactical. You have to be tactical and strategic at the same time. And what do I mean by that? You have to think about it as you're not just the battalion commander trying to seize an objective, or a company commander trying to seize an objective on a battlefield. You are also, General Eisenhower conducting an entire theater of operations. I mean, you have to worry about overarching strategy, and then you have to worry about the tactics too. Like, you have to think about both things at once. You fail, and like the biggest problem, everybody can think tactically. Thinking tactically is pretty easy. But if you fail to think strategically, that's where you fuck yourself. And that's what happened here, I think. You failed to think strategically. I must have been a pro at Company of Heroes. Yeah, I was all right at it. I'm not. I Hearts of Iron 4. That is. I'm completely lost on that one. But playing the original Hearts of Iron and stuff like that, yeah, you gotta be able to do both. So they initially, and they point out, rightfully so at this point, Aaron was granted a continuance in order he could seek counsel. Petitioner objected in order to preserve the issue. Which, once again, why are you preserving the issue? Because, like, are you going to argue on the appeal? Like, I don't think the appeals court's going to get involved, so where are you saving this for? The petitioner's request over the respondent's objection. An accompanying notice of withdrawal of petitioner's former counsel date July 21st and served then. Former counsel asked the court to look favorably on the forthcoming request for continuance scheduled for June 23rd. He means July 23rd, I think. Anyways, the petitioner's formal counsel averred that due to unforeseen circumstances, he was unable to continue representing Aaron, and that's true. Again, over a respondent's objection, the court granted petitioner's continuance request, setting the matter for August 5th. Yeah. Once again, you can fuck around. You could fuck around on some of these, but, at the beginning, you look like an asshole. The first one, the second one, and then the third one. So in the first one, you acted like a dickhead, and you were like, no. Now in the second one, you're like, no. And the third one, you're like, no. Well, what does that look like? Not a good look. But right now, this is, I think, a proper thing to do. You're laying out the arguments. And it says, again, mere days before the scheduled and twice continued hearing, petitioner through counsel seeks another continuance. Yes. And now is the time to object. Not objecting before, it doesn't waive your ability to object. It doesn't. And this is where, Nick is an attorney. He should know this. It's not his first rodeo. But Frank should have sat Nick down and said, look, buddy, they're going to grant this. We need to save that goodwill for later. But once the whiff of Aaron's goo hits Nick's nose, he just lost his mind. And he's like, no! Well, this is where you end up. Objecting now, and the judge fucking BTFOs you. So the petitioner was aware at the latest on July 21st that his former counsel would no longer be able to represent him. Yeah. In fact, the aforementioned correspondence petitioner's former counsel from the court, he advised Petitioner the importance of promptly obtaining new legal counsel. Yeah. Emphasis added. Like, you're not gonna. Upon information belief, petitioner allowed 11 days to elapse before obtaining new legal counsel. Well, did you ask him what he did? They say, though, despite the fact that on the day of the previous scheduled hearing, petitioner was publicly singing the praises of his former divorce attorney and claimed that he was assisting the petitioner behind the scenes on some other legal issue. Okay, well, which legal issue is that, Frank? Which one is it? Let's go, buddy. Do you know what that is? Upon information and belief, petitioner's 2 pending proceedings are the other legal issues. Meaning, I don't fucking know, but this is my way of couching it in terms I can't get in trouble for. Petitioner has had ample time to secure replacement counsel. In the interim, you've already fucking lost, so this is a lot of just hot air here. In the interim, respondent has had a judicial sword of Damocles hanging above his head, the string for which the petitioner has exhorted his audience to help him sever. Wait, are we now is this wait, Frank. Are you guys now crying about the whole idea of having the community A-log somebody? Remember what Nick said, if somebody broke the wall, we'll put it to the police. Remember that, uber libertarian man. Go tell them if you see the lobby broken, go to the cops. Mr. Libertarian. Everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit. It's like, chat, I heard that once and it's like, fuck, it's always true. Remember that. And now Aaron, it's like, I guess we'll report things to the cops, but it's a soda demo tweeze. Oh, whoa. Fucking spare me. This is some bitch-made bullshit. Oh, well. We ain't about this life. Fucking go cry to the cops. No, not like that against us. No. Fucking gay-ass bullshit. Man. Like Mark Antony said, man, ambition should be made of sterner fucking stuff. It should be. That's there. Any additional continuance further extends the negative impact on Nick's occupation. What? Is it affecting his ability to fucking do cooking streams about Kurt? It's not hurting you. I mean, what? Making shitty fucking live streams? And when you make fun of fucking Kurt's cooking? I mean, what are we losing there? What's hurting you so bad? Nobody's stopping you from snorting up galaxy gas. Also, I was going to say, what's the occupation? So the continuance further extends the unconstitutional encroachment on respondent's First Amendment rights he has endured since the unfounded petition was filed. Is it really unfounded? I mean, once again, think about how fucking psychotic the idea is. You put a refrigerator in the checked luggage of an airplane, and that refrigerator is a monument to another man bawling out your fucking wife. And you proudly show that off in a casino in Las Vegas over 1,000 miles away. Think about how fucking mental that sounds. Once again, he mailed it? What the fuck ever. Doesn't really matter. I'm sure Nick can be like, I mailed it. I didn't check my baggage. But once again, this goes to the idea of, guys, remember, you're going to have some normie judge or a magistrate hearing this. And what do you think a normal person's going to say? Well, that sounds funny. No, they're going to be like, you guys are fucking psychopaths all around. Maybe the judge is going to say you all should fucking kill yourselves. I don't know. But it's something to think about. It's something to think about. Is it really that unfounded? I don't think so there. You know, remember, the guy who tried to make the watermark defense is telling you something is unfounded. Remember that. Like, when Frank White is writing this, if it's really him, they made the fucking watermark argument. So, you know, a big old fucking pinch of salt with this one. And he says, I reiterate. It's like he's fucking calling it history. I say again, petitioner initiated this action. He was and remains the massa of this action. He's Massa. Massa Aaron. He's Massa Aaron. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He Massa Aaron. Does that mean he's like, does that mean he owns Nick and Melton? It's like Kunta Kinte. It's like, so what's your name? My name's Kunta Kinte. No, it's Patrick. It's Patrick. But Massa Aaron is in charge. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, he's dominant. He's a dom, which makes sense because Nick and Aaron are gay. So, and as Nick said, Aaron became less consensual over time. Aaron's like, I'm here to take it. It's like the sisters and Andy Dufresne, probably. And Aaron's like, Nick, it's not about love, honey. Oh. Yes, the toe takes what he wants. But anyways, the respondent has expended time. Nick spent time doing what? And incurred additional significant expenses preparing to defend himself against the allegations. How much more money did you spend than already? Because to defend the claim in July, nothing's really changed. So how much did you really spend? I mean, also, I mean, does it really matter? Because we also hear about Nick saying that Frank White fucking sucks and he feels like he got ripped off repeatedly. So does Nick really care that he's pissing money away? No, I would argue he doesn't at this point because he fucking does retarded shit. And it says, and any continuance would add there too. From allegations that the court will ultimately find to be frivolous. Really? Are you sure they're going to be frivolous? Are you sure they're going to be frivolous? I mean, once again, you know, have fun when you have to put Patrick Melton up there. When Patrick Melton's up there explaining why he's talking about a 6-year-old's vagina, have fun with that, because that's not going to be seen as frivolous. That's not going to be seen as frivolous. You're probably going to win it. You'll probably still win, but the court's going to look at Melton like he's a fucking shitbag. The judge is not going to sit there and go, oh, ha, 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 ha. No. You're like, nobody is going to be, you know, the idea, like, yeah, this is not, like, you guys will, like, I think you guys are going to win, but this isn't going to be a blowout. This ain't going to be a blowout. This ain't going to be a blowout, man. Like, ooh. The idea this is frivolous. This is just, remember, these are the people who thought the Frank's motion was going to win. My watermark. Oh, it's COG. It's like, think about that. This is the guy telling you it's frivolous. Now. Salvatore says edgy humor is not a defense. I mean, it can be. You can go in there and say, yeah, I'm a First Amendment. But if the court says, I don't believe you, well, now you got a problem. And, I mean, yeah, everything's got a line. Right? You know, if you're going to act like a test pilot and be on the edge of the envelope, eventually you're going to, you know, fucking crash and burn. So, yeah. COG is a curry driller. Oh, no. And he says, and finally, my August calendar has few openings, which a third continuance could be accommodated. This could potentially continue into September, making a mockery of my client's due process rights. Okay. Yeah, you got rights. You do have rights. Maybe Nick needs an attorney who's available. I mean, that's another thing. So accordingly, the request this hearing remains set a schedule for August 5th at 3 p.m. Well, notice this is already a fucking loser because it's already 20 hours late. Good job, Frank. Good job. Good job. Good job. Meme Copium, friend of the show, Josh, he's like, you know what they say? You mess with the bull, you're going to get the paws. Yes. Very true. Very true. So that has happened. And ultimately, the judge said, Safa, we're going to the end of the month. So tomorrow is D-Day, chat. Tomorrow, everything goes down. We're going to find out, and it'll be very interesting. It'll be very interesting. Like I said, do I think that ultimately Aaron's going to lose? Probably. And I still think it's, he's going to lose by the slimmest of margins because you know why? Once the order came out offering $1,000 bounty on Twitter like a fucking retard, I mean, if you're going to do that shit, do it silently and quietly through back channels so nobody could fucking document it. And then don't fucking air it for 5 hours. It's like, I'll show you harassment. Yeah, you don't do that. You don't do that. You don't make it easier for the guy to prove his case. Once again, the strong move quiet and the weak start riots. So, yeah. So I'm still hoping for a 3-way contempt arrest. That would be funny. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I don't think that's going to happen. So, the Badman says, did Nick dodge his 28 days? Yes, he did enough. He licked enough boot to avoid it. He bent the knee and did what the judge wanted, Daddy Wenzel, and he said, Daddy Judge, I did what you wanted. And he did it. So he avoided that. So good for him. Good for him. J-Rock says, Aaron is an idiot. So there's that. Yes, but remember, Nick and Melton are fucking idiots too. They're all retarded. They're all gay. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem here. So, now there is more stuff to go through here. And ultimately, this is somebody, Alyssa got these for me. And these are regarding Judge Fisher. Now, we've already gone through some of her previous complaints here, for example. This does bring up some things here I do think we need to take a look at, though, for Judge Fisher. Remember, this is the esteemed jurist that Nick thinks shoots, alcoholic spirits out of her crotch and squeezes them out. So what happened? What happened here? Well, we're not going to go through all this because this is like a bunch of pages of stuff here, but I think it's important to see some of the things for Judge Fisher here. And this is, the discipline of judges is kind of a big deal. So what happened here? So the board received complaints and information alleging that Judge Jennifer Carude Fisher engaged in misconduct. And in between May of 2024 and April 2025, so roughly about a year. So they served, and they point out her previous discipline. So she entered into a deferred disposition agreement in January 2023. The board was to issue a private admonition, that's interesting they have that. I'm not aware of anything like that here in Ohio. If you get an admonition or a reprimand, it's like public. But by entering the agreement, she admitted she engaged in misconduct as follows. She had stated twice to a juvenile, do you want me to get the duct tape out? And yeah, you shouldn't be saying that to a juvenile. So yeah, you're not allowed to do that. And it was on the transcript. Ugh. Judge Fisher referred to a prosecutor as a live body and required him to make appearance in the matter, which he was not assigned and unprepared. Well, that is an asshole move. But I mean, I don't know if I would have fucking cried to the fucking Judicial Commission about that. Like, judges act like fucking assholes, and they don't feel bad about dragging the prosecutor in somewhere because you're the fucking prosecutor. Who gives a shit? It's one thing if she fucks around with a private counsel or something like that, but I don't know about that one. But no, threatening to duct tape the kid over, guys, that's not acceptable conduct. You're not allowed to do that. You shouldn't do that as a judge. You should, if the kids are getting out of control, you could say, fine, I'll hold you in contempt. Do you want to go in the back? Do you want to go into detention? That's acceptable, but threatening duct tape like that, I mean, there was a case here in Cleveland a couple years ago where a judge did that. He had them tape over a guy's mouth. And he immediately afterwards was like, oh, fuck, I messed up. I got carried away. He immediately reported himself to the Supreme Court, and he immediately recused himself from the case. And yeah, he got disciplined for it, but like, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. So it also appears she made inappropriate and irrelevant comments about a mother's conduct in an order for protection hearing. For example, the mother allowing her daughter to go hunting with the mother's boyfriend, Judge Fisher stated, I don't know of any mother who would do that. I don't know of any father of a 4 or 6-year-old child who would be okay if asked. Just because you have deemed them to be appropriate to have sex with does not mean they are a safe person for your child. There was no allegation in the protection order regarding this topic. Yeah, I was about to say, like, yeah, that's not a good one. Judge Fisher made statements in an order dismissing a criminal case that could reasonably cause one to question impartiality, and made questionable statements about the police officers in general and the arresting officers in particular. I don't really fucking care. Like, oh, wow, she shit on the fucking cops. I don't fucking care. Like, oh, no, she would mean to the police, man. Like, great. She's allowed to be biased to them. Of the people she's allowed to be biased to, I'm totally okay with, and based that she's willing to treat the cops like shit. Also, hold on here, CR- I forgot to look this up earlier. Let's see what this case is. 21-606. Okay. It's let's see here. Okay, so what? Okay. Well, here we go. Look at this case. Possession of methamphetamine in the presence of a minor child, a felony. Okay. 5th degree possession of controlled substances, meth. Okay, so let's view the case details here. Did she make a ruling? When did she make this ruling? See, Omnibus Voter, March 2nd, 2022. Okay, let's go to that. What did she write in here? That was so bad. Let's see what she says about the coppers. Okay, this is an omnibus order. Let's see here. What did she say? So they challenged the search of the vehicle, and if anything found which should be suppressed and the charges dismissed. Oh, so a real suppression motion, chat. Not any gay-ass Frank stuff. Like real things. This is real attorney work. So they talk about the findings of fact. Defendant Torgerson was stopped by the officer Dylan Reiner of the Litchfield Police Department for illegal use of a light bar. The defendant admitted that to Officer Reiner he knew the reason we stopped was likely his light bar. After informing of it, Officer Reiner asked the defendant there was a reason he was smelling marijuana. The defendant denies marijuana is in the vehicle or has ever been marijuana in the vehicle. Following short conversations, Reiner explains the light bar law to the defendant. Reiner states he's going back to check the license, and if everything's okay, he will be getting a warning. While checking the status, Officer Heck of the Litchfield Police Department arrived on scene. He's heard on saying body cam Officer Heck. So I thought I could smell weed. I asked him about it. He said there's nothing there. There's never been any weed. He says, but I mean, it's not like shooting out of the vehicle, but, well, okay, yeah, that's actually fucking liars. Lying ass cops. Reiner testified on a scale of 1 to 10. The strength of the odor was a 5. Heck asked Reiner if she could go talk to the driver and said, sure, see if you see anything. Reiner did not indicate any indicia of intoxication. Did not see any illegal contraband in plain view. Reiner did not ask consent to search. He testified the mere existence of the odor of marijuana is enough to support probable cause to search the vehicle. Officer Reiner did not testify to what warrant exception applies. He testified the odor was a burned marijuana and that from training and experience, he could tell the difference between burnt and unburnt marijuana. He testified that burned marijuana has a skunky smell. Okay. Officer Reiners overstated his qualifications regarding his ability to detect when it's burnt or unburnt. And the testimony of comparative skunk values is not scientific or accurate. Whether fresh or burnt, different strains have different odors. The quantity, strain, and the quality have a lot to do more with odor, whether the marijuana has been burnt or not. The human nose does not have sufficient nerve endings to differentiate quality or quantity, smoked or unsmoked marijuana. And it says Officer Heck approached, having already been told that. Officer Heck testified that he was able to immediately smell the odor of burnt marijuana coming from the vehicle. He testified it was strong enough that he recognized it immediately when he got to the vehicle. And he says he scaled it as not the faintest he's ever smelled and not the strongest, so somewhere in the middle. Isn't it ironic? And then they both deny having marijuana in the vehicle. There was no marijuana or paraphernalia found in the vehicle. They testified neither the driver nor the passenger displayed any indicia of intoxication, and they didn't observe any contraband. He asked the defendant if he's super familiar. The defendant denies knowing the cop. At that point, Heck informs him they'll be likely looking through the car to ensure there's nothing in the car since they could both smell weed. The officers and the defendant, his passenger, and their child step out of the vehicle while they performed a search. Again, this is occurring at 10 p.m. Neither of them provided any reason why they failed to get a warrant, and that's a big fucking problem. They never testified that had an exigent circumstance. The automobile exception would be a great one. Carroll v. United States. You could articulate that, but they never did. They never testified. Neither of them testified to an exception to the search warrant. Why can't they fucking tell you? Why? What's so wrong now? What's so wrong now? I think this judge is being pretty based. The odor of marijuana can be present when no crime has occurred. This is because possession of up to 42.5 grams is not a crime. Smoking marijuana is not a crime. The odor of marijuana can linger on clothes. And possession of less than 1.4 grams in a motor vehicle is not a crime either. And they say as of March 21st, patients with the Minnesota Department of Health and an approved medical diagnosis can access smokable cannabis. While this fact is not an issue at the time, it is evidence of changing legal landscape surrounding marijuana and possession. When they searched the vehicle, he found 3 pipes, a clear baggie that contained a white powdery substance, and the white substance and the brown crystal-like substance later testified positive for meth. So, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, how do they get the right to search that? Now, they talk about due to exigent circumstances presented by automobiles. There's a well-established exception, but they never did it. And they talk about the one exception is the automobile exception. The police may search a car without a warrant, including closed containers, if there's cause to believe the search will result in discovery of evidence or contraband. Yes, and it's United States v. Ross going all of and guys, remember, Carroll's not. This is also citing United States v. Carroll. Carroll's 1925. So what do they get to here? And she gets to her. Let's see what her argument is. They point out, and she gets the point here. There are vast numbers of citizens who use and possess non-criminal amounts of marijuana. The mere detection without something more does not indicate a crime has occurred. And they point out that probable cause to arrest satisfies the search incident to arrest exception when a Fourth Amendment warrant requirement when an arrest is made. And that's true. Search incident to arrest, you're allowed to search people. You're allowed to search kind of where they were. Probable cause to search does not necessarily trigger an exception to the warrant requirement or lead to the conclusion the search is reasonable. And the police need probable cause to search and a warrant before they can seize an item from a person. And they never sought a warrant. And the state has not articulated an exception to the warrant requirement. Now, they point out the light bar was an objective basis. And they say to allow the search solely on marijuana would be permitting highly speculative searches against a large group of law-abiding people. And it says the contraband discovered as legal search is the fruit of a poisonous tree. Yep. And then, what do you do from this? Well, ultimately, can you sufficiently distinguish and be purged from the primary taint, the evidence that you found? And they were seized during an illegal search. These items are subject to suppression as fruits of the poisonous tree. These contain conclusions of law. They're incorporated in. The search was not reasonable. There was no probable cause to believe criminal activity was afoot. The motion to suppress was granted. This is how you get a search suppressed. The motion to dismiss for lack of probable cause is granted. Case dismissed. So what did she say? Yeah, okay, here we go. This is interesting here. The court is watching in amazement as society turns from community policing model to paramilitary style policing. No, like fucking base. That's true. Absolutely base. We've gone from, well, people like to say Andy Griffith, but Andy Griffith would crack your teeth open too. You know, on the Andy Griffith show, Otis would have got his ass whooped a lot. And as the old guard retires and new hires are made, local law enforcement changes. There was a time when the fact that child was out at 10 p.m. and not in bed would have been the primary concern. Instead, training on compassionate conflict resolution, small-town cops receive SWAT training. Over a few short years, the difference is obvious and concerning. In this case, there was a young child in the vehicle that was unlawfully searched late at night. The war on drugs takes no prisoners. Yes, it does. That young child was subjected to a traumatic incident that should not have happened. What is this child's takeaway? Does anyone think that this child will grow to believe law enforcement is here to serve and protect? Can these officers see how their actions did not help and may have contributed to societal harm? And it says the legal framework for pot is changing. The officer was wrong when he said the odor alone gives him a probable cause to search. And they say it does not now and has not made since the Minnesota legislature decriminalized marijuana possession in 1976. Wow, that is I didn't see that. That's interesting. 1976. 1976. So base so far. Officer Reiner is not alive when the mere odor was a basis for a search. The Minnesota Supreme Court addressed this issue in 2009. It should not be confusing to any law enforcement officer that the odor of marijuana is not sufficient to support probable cause of search. This was a highly speculative search. Odor detection is subjective. One of the reasons sniffing dogs are used is because they reliably detect odors. Okay, no, they don't. It's a machine that chews on its own asshole for fun. You can't trust dogs. We only have 6 million olfactory receptors. Dogs provide an objective source of detection. No, they don't. Having a dog sniff is more reliable than a human. No, it's not. Dogs are better at it. No, they don't. Plus, we don't have to worry about a dog's biases. Dogs have a massive bias in pleasing their handler. Similarly, body cams could provide an objective window into interactions. Thus, body cams offer protection. In the current climate centering on police reform, falling back on subjective factors that are indefensible in court is a mistake. Officers should be very protective of their integrity and credibility. The more they can present that is objective and verifiable, the safer the officer will be from collateral attacks on their integrity and credibility. That's what she's being reported for? What is it with this state and being a bunch of fucking panty waist faggots? Really? Really? You got Nick and Aaron, then you got your governor up there like, I want to put tampons in fucking boys' bathrooms, and I make friends with school shooters. Like, what is wrong with your goddamn state? This is based. This was absolutely based by this judge. Absolutely based. I see nothing wrong with it. But anyways, let's catch up to what Judge Fisher may have done. At a sentencing hearing, she felt sick to her stomach regarding a plea agreement that she had accepted at a previous hearing. She also stated, I want to say thank you to attorneys for putting me in this position of feeling really ill about having given a stay of adjudication. So that being said, it feels icky and I feel like I'm not doing the right thing. Okay, yeah, that is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And, unacceptable. No, hold on, wait. Yeah, this one's unacceptable. This one's okay. B's okay. And then, Torgerson is okay. So at a criminal hearing, she threatened a defense attorney who had demanded a speedy omnibus hearing. Well, what did she threaten him with? But yeah, okay, not cool. Of a criminal defendant, he had previously failed to appear for a hearing. Judge Fisher stated, "This is not the first time Mr. Dahlberg has been before the court. He is not unsophisticated as counsel would suggest. He is a game player. I've reviewed the PSI. I've had him before, and he presents as pathetic and plays on that." I mean, that's not necessarily something I think is outlandish. The court's like, I'm not buying your bullshit. I don't think that's improper. So now here's the thing. Judge Fisher spoke, and they concluded she spoke directly or in the presence of court staff about topics that were sexual in nature. A reasonable person today would not tolerate this type of behavior. Holy shit. Why is Nick not like, I'm sure he's like, Nick, you better text her, buddy. She might join the polycule after all. She might join your polycule, brother. They say interviews of court staff express concerns about her erratic, explosive, and unpredictable behavior, and that such behavior occurs publicly in the courtroom directed at individuals appearing before her, as well as in administrative areas of the court in the presence of staff and within hearing range of the public courthouse areas. There are also statements that Judge Fisher has spoken about disconcerting use of prescribed medication for mental health issues in an effort to manage issues of her own. Okay, well, hey, women are crazy. And they say Judge Fisher's actions constitute sexual harassment. They're just prudes. She's destigmatizing the bedroom. And her actions create a colorable claim of liability against the judicial branch. Oof. The agreement also states she will not retaliate against any person who reported her. They say if she doesn't comply with the conditions, they may take actions, including a proposed public reprimand. Okay, and so they go on here. Yeah, so she violated the agreement by retaliating against those who had done stuff. The following individuals lodged complaints. Another judge, a assistant city attorney, and a private practitioner, and a county attorney. Public defenders also did. They cooperated in the investigations, and the assistant chief judge also cooperated. So, okay. And then she starts retaliating against people. Good. Sounds like she's a lunatic, but it's like, man, it's like game recognizes game, I guess. So she goes through all this here. You know what? Let's keep reading this. Let's keep fucking reading this. Let's see what she did here. Let's see what she did. Yeah, proper request for investigation. She filed complaints against the judges. Okay, yeah, well, that's a smart idea. She said there was 2 complaints. She also mailed these complaints to the legal counsel for the state administration's office. They claim they had professional impairment. Judge Beckman told me a few years ago her husband is an opiate addict losing his job and business. I've not seen any sign of recovery, but I have seen is concerning. Well, that's not the judge. They said Judge Ben Wilcox's investiture, she seemed impaired. They said the board determined there was no reasonable cause to believe she committed misconduct. They also dismissed complaints against Judge Beckman. They said the complaints against the assistant chief judge. They claim that he violated the rules. They determined there was no reasonable cause to believe this. The letter to her said that they remind her that you cannot retaliate directly or indirectly. So on June 4th, they received a letter from her that stated this is to make the unusual request to investigate the complaints of public defender Carter Griner against this judge. That's also one of the guys in the Children's Services hearing for Nick's kids, I believe. They also copied another person on the letter. The board has not received any complaints from Carter Griner regarding the conduct of Judge Fisher. It's like, oof. So there you go. Like, she tried to smoke him out, and it's like he actually didn't do a complaint. Good job, Judge. They say she also sent the board a copy of her complaint against the public defenders, and her complaints alleged to conduct dating back 25 years. She's airing out them grievances. So she then also accused the judge of being an opioid addict and uses the subterfuge of migraines to cover up her addiction. They said that the other judge is she did nothing wrong and that Beckman is lying about the number of removals against her. In that same conversation, Judge Fisher told the Judge Hansen that the public defender is severely mentally ill and that another public defender is misogynistic without providing any support. She told a court administrator that she believed Judge Beckman was impaired because she was talking circular on the bench. She also said that Chief Judge Hansen, she was planning to bring a lawsuit against Judge Beckman demanding $5 million for IIED and defamation. Wow, this is like the perfect judge for this county. A county full of lunatics. Yeah, Winter Soldier is a pill popper. Do you think? Yeah, Nick could be like, Judge Beckman, I heard you got drugs. Can we party? Oh, God. Oh. Let's see here. So what else is there? Judge Fisher again told Judge Hansen that she learned from a report Judge Beckman was impaired. She said she's learned she knows Judge Beckman is mentally ill and chemically dependent. And it says prior to elections for the 8th Judicial District Chief Judge in 2024, Judge Fisher told Judge Dole that she was concerned Judge Beckman had engaged in substance abuse and that she might have borderline personality problems. Game recognizes game, chat. She was unable to attend the meetings because of a mandate the judge had issued requiring her to attend an investiture. There was no mandate. Okay. And after a meeting with the Judicial Standards Board in March, Judge Fisher stated that Beckman's behaviors are indicative of an impaired professional. So now it talks about targeting the public defender. Her targeting the judges, I'm really not, okay, whatever. They're big kids, they can handle it. Targeting like an attorney is really fucked up because how do you fight back? It's really hard to do because you got to deal with this judge if it doesn't work out. So what did she do? Well, there was a case there, and it was his first trial since his return to the public defender's office. And she retaliated by interfering with his presentation. They failed to allow him to complete his opening statement. Accused him of indoctrinating the court. I've never heard of that before. That seems really retarded. Noting that the prosecution could pursue a perjury investigation against a juvenile. Accused Greiner of supporting perjury. And finding wrongdoing by the child for the child, relying on their defense counsel to advocate for them, among other things. Yeah, that's no bueno. No bueno, chat, completely. Judge Fisher recused herself from hearing any matters involving Carter Greiner, writing in the order, he has made unsubstantiated claims of racism and bias by the underside. This counsel will recuse of further cases where he is assigned until the matter of his discipline is resolved. It's not a capitulation to the aforementioned substantiated claims of race and bias. This is to protect the court from unfair criticism due to the appearance of impropriety. Okay. There is another attorney Rebecca Rue, wrongly accused of engaging in ex parte communications. She submitted a letter to the court asking a continuance. The letter copied opposing counsel and the guardian ad litem. In denying the request, she had reviewed the continued request and multiple ex parte requested communications. Yeah, okay. And any request for modification shall be made pursuant to the motions. Counsel should remain from ex parte communication in the future. That's not ex parte, so yeah. I mean, this woman seems to understand law as good as Nick. You think they'd like be peas in a pod. Or like Forrest Gump said, peas and carrots. Says Judge Fisher emailed the court administrator that she will not hear a single case for Rebecca Rue. The case is set for arraignment tomorrow. Will have to come off. This marked a pattern of recusing herself from an unprecedented number of attorneys and entities. Apparently she hated everybody but Nick. It's very interesting. Apparently she hated everybody but Nick. Very, very funny. Very, very funny. Very funny. Oh. Yeah, it's like she would have granted the Franks motion, Nick. She might have. You might have been able to get your Franks motion, Nick, but you didn't want her. You didn't want her. Yeah, this woman sounds like she's crazy. So blanket recusal from Meeker County matters. So she began recusing herself from all county prosecutions from a county. Guys, remember, they have judicial districts, so it's not just one county they hear cases from. This whole idea of the judicial circuits is weird and all of that for me because each county hears its own stuff, including in custody arraignment, civil and child support cases. Brandy Schiefelbein is the county attorney. There are also 4 assistant county attorneys. So she violated her agreement by committing initial misconduct. This is the juvenile matter here. For In-Ray IS, she failed to remain impartial, issuing a second order and gratuitous comments. Then it says her duty was to determine whether it's probable cause to believe the juvenile committed the charge offense. After reviewing the offense, Fisher dismissed the charges against the juvenile based on no probable cause. On January 25th, even though Judge Fisher dismissed the petition, she issued a second order, which is the basis for the allegation she failed to remain impartial. The first order denying cause and releasing the juvenile adequately resolved the case. Her second order is superfluous. It included statements that were unsupported by the record, such as the police engaged in extrajudicial punishment, and people already lacking the trust in police may understandably construe these events as the police arbitrarily targeting, harassing, and arresting members of a family they dislike. Nick, she was speaking your language, homie. She was speaking your language, Nick. She's all right on board with you. The cops, they don't like what I say. They were all about, she's all about this, dude. And you fucking kicked her off the case. You kicked her off the case, man. She was like the only friend you ever had and you never knew it. They say whether this is true or not, the officer on the scene provided ammunition to this argument and only served to destabilize confidence in their office. She failed to remain impartial. And they talk about in this case, she did not allow Carter Grainer to compose a statement. We already got through that part. She said in the findings and conclusions of law, she failed to remain impartial. She states the juvenile's parents sat through the trial looking down. Their body language resigned. Okay, yeah, you're not allowed to say that. The mother said, I was not with my head down for reasons she assumed, but I was praying for my son to have a fair trial. I was praying because her attitudes towards us was not the attitude of a fair judge. My son did not have a fair trial. The judge was not being fair to us. See, Judge Fisher doesn't like God either. She thinks Jesus is just a bro. Once again, Nick, this woman, she was your savior, and you threw her away. And it says, I realized that it didn't matter to the judge, our son's side of the story. She didn't want to hear our side, and no one was going to change her mind that my son was guilty. She also made a finding the juvenile seemed to rely on Greiner and focusly evidence on Greiner's conduct instead of the facts. She said the court has discussed at length questionable decisions made by counsel during the trial. These decisions constitute harmless error. The trial was not defective due to ineffective assistance. And the juvenile sought the judge's removal. She initially denied it, stating that she says this is a collateral attack on the judgment. Sentencing is then, and the juvenile can appeal. She said that, she recused and wrote the following notice of recusal later on. And she said there is no basis to remove for cause. The question must be answered. Why does this attorney believe this behavior will get him this result? I don't know. That's a question you should ask, Nick. Why do you think this is going to help you? She's your bro and you never knew it. She says, failure to remain impartial and appropriate demeanor, Rush v. Rush. That's for the order of protection. She says, I'm not granting continuance. Miss Rush is not represented either. See, Nick, she didn't like continuances. This woman's speaking your language. You guys, if Frank White would have had a friend. You guys could have had a friend and you didn't want her. So at the hearing, the judge scolded and questioned the petitioner about her failure to follow the orders and complete the intake for the visitation center to get parenting time. However, the court did award parenting time supervised. Judge never ordered the petitioner and mother to complete the intake or specified she must do so. She also wrongly accused Miss Rue of engaging in ex parte communication, even though the letter copied opposing counsel in the GAL. There's another thing here where during 2 hearings for a juvenile, she did inappropriate comments. Judge Fisher told the mother, "You're not special, even with breast cancer." Well, we all know how Nick likes laughing at people who get cancer. You are not special, CJW, because this is life. Life is breast cancer. Life is people who are close to you having tragedies happen to you. At a subsequent hearing, CJW appeared with his father. The judge required the father to take out of the courtroom to talk to him about the respect he'll need to pay in the courtroom. When they re-entered the courtroom, the judge showed the juvenile, "We'll keep having you come back once a month until you show proper respect by saying, 'Yes, Your Honor,' asking appropriate questions and not being sarcastic. I'm looking for respect toward the court and not the kind of huffiness you provide to your parents." The father said, "Why are you dogging on my son?" and noted that the judge is egging this on, and the judge continued the matter saying, "It's not happening today because I don't think we can recover from this. I think you are angry. Why are you mad, bro?" Like, this woman is off her fucking meds. This is an insane fucking person. This is an insane fucking person. Yeah, this whole fucking county sounds absolutely fucking insane. Absolutely fucking insane. So, like, this is just ridiculous. Absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah, it's like an inappropriate demeanor here, State v. Fleming. In a case here. At the hearing, she was irritated with the state of the case procedurally. She inquired of a status and that all Rule 8 proceedings must occur within 14 days of her first appearance. She made a remark that the defendant had waived timeliness and that Judge Beckman had set the hearing. On the record, she stated local rules that aren't following Minnesota Rules of Criminal Procedure. She's like, okay. At a district bench meeting, she expressed disagreement with the consensus regarding the scheduling of Rule 8 hearings. That alone isn't a problem. Like, okay. She also made a snide remark regarding a new public defender's ability to ask for a breakout room to discuss the case with a client, meaning this is online and you get a private room to go talk to your client. And when you're new, you don't know what to do. Like, it's like, you guys may think it sounds easy, and this is something I've had to learn. And when you run into new attorneys or whatever, you tell them, like, just tell the judge what you want. Just tell them. You don't have to make it special. Make sure you find a motion or two you can copy from, but ultimately just spell out what you want, what you're looking for. What is it you need from the judge? And if they can give it to you, they'll give it to you. But I understand this public defender might not know how to fucking ask for something. They've never had to ask for it. It says, given her clear prejudice against these two attorneys, Judge Fisher was required to remove herself from handling matters in the Rush v. Rush case. However, she failed to do so. She refused to disqualify herself. She failed to cooperate with other judges for multiple calendars. She failed to engage in the district master calendar. She failed to maintain proper demeanor, failing to hear or decide matters to her. Overall, refusing to do her job. Fucking, like, are we sure that Nick and her are not cousins? Are we sure they're not cousins? It's like, wow. Maybe her maiden name, like, is Rekieta. I don't know. So she's recused herself from hearing any matters involving the following attorneys and entities. And, it's one thing, there might be some attorneys, like sometimes this will happen, just as a matter of course. But okay, the 8th District Public Defender himself, the Assistant City of Litchfield Attorney and a private family law attorney, the County Prosecutor, the Assistant County Prosecutor, the First Assistant County Prosecutor, another Assistant County Prosecutor, the entire Prosecutor's Office for a whole county, a Public Defender, the entire Attorney's Office, and the entire City Attorney's Office. Her caseload was significantly reduced. You know what they say? A lot of paperwork, a lot of problems. No paperwork, no problems. It's like, thinking ahead. So, effective February 10th, Judge Fisher was no longer assigned any criminal cases or criminal matters. Rather, she was assigned to the district master calendar regarding civil matters, conciliation court, minor civil calendar, harassment, restraining orders. Nick, oh my God, you could have had something there. Orders for protection, initial hearings, probable cause, commitment hearings, probate estate matters, and district signings related to the cases. Her conduct as being assigned to this calendar resulted in additional removals. Oof. Uh-oh. So even after all of this, her continued pattern of non-responses and failure to timely address sensitive assignments led to negative impacts. As a consequence, as of April 28th, she was no longer assigned to any hearing calendars. Instead, her duties consist of administrative duties such as research and writing. Maybe she, that's like, she could have helped Nick write his Frank's motion. And then in this one, she refused to sign a release order despite ordering conditions of release. That's fucked up. Ordering a guy to get released and you won't sign the order. In another case, a child in need of protection or services, Judge Fisher failed to remain impartial and maintain appropriate demeanor and harm public confidence by summoning individuals to attend to the hearing, advertising the others and judicial officers, and implying that accusing Candioi County Health and Human Services employees and witnesses of biased conduct. She made a determination sua sponte that Health and Human Services had violated due process rights. Nick, oh my God, this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted out of your judges. And you fucking she squeezes liquor out of her vagina. It's like, she was everything you fucking wanted, buddy. You wanted this psychopath on your side. You wanted her on that wall. You needed her on that wall. And instead you're like, no, I don't want it. Oh my God, she probably could have been like, well, Judge. She would have been like, you're right, Nick. I agree. So this is fucking hilarious. You talked all this shit about this woman, and she was like the closest thing you had to an ally. That's the only way you were going to get what you wanted anyways, by having a fucking psychopath on the bench. And for some reason, you're like, no, I want to take my chances with the people who believe in the law. Like, brilliant work. Brilliant work. So Judge Fisher issued a summons to these people, the Candioi County attorney, all of the assistant prosecutors, the entire child protection unit, the guardian ad litems, including the supervisors. Wow. Nick, she was the closest thing you could have ever had to a friend. She accused the Children's Services of acting in confirmation bias. She wrote a physician who testified, just because he's an expert does not mean he's impervious to confirmation bias. Wow. You just, in a later order, she stated the employees engaged in bias. And they found it so important to provide information reveals a bias about non-English speakers. I mean, Jesus Christ, man, you had a chance, Nick, and you I don't want this woman to work with me. Oh. What could have been? Yep. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Yep. Yep. Shame. That's a shame, Nick. So, I'm just saying, that is, yeah. Not gonna work here. Not gonna work here. Oh. I just don't understand. This is, it's so funny. It is so funny. Remember, chat, the fates smile upon us. The fates smile upon us. Anyways, she violated a bunch of the rules of Minnesota Code of Judicial Conduct. That's a lot of fucking bad. It's bad. So, but you give it away. You give it away, chat. I don't know why you would do that. I don't know why you would do that. That just seems dumb to me. So anyway, tomorrow is the day for Nick and Aaron. We'll find out what happens. And, just remember, chat, let's hope everybody has fun. Let's hope everyone has fun. Yeah. Isn't it funny? That's actually funny and weird That is really funny and weird. So, oh, yes, another win for the toe. Yes. All right, chat. Moving on from there. Moving on. We got to go. We got to get going here. So, moving on, guys. If you guys weren't aware, earlier this week there was a shooting in Minneapolis at a Catholic school, and honestly, this is something I've thought about this and I've commented on this before. If you really wanted to cause like a mass casualty event and really fucking make the nation go into a tizzy, like if you have like if I was like a terror cell, you'd roll up to like a elementary school on the first day of school with a couple of fucking AR-15s and just start fucking mowing everybody down. Like the beginning of school when everybody's there, like that is the time to attack. And this is like attacking right at the beginning of the school year. It was like it wasn't a bad idea. I just like if you're gonna plan your work your plan, and you got to have a real plan, not just I'm gonna, Anyway, I'm just saying, like if you're gonna make an attack, you got to fucking make it stick. And then the idea is like run to the back and smoke yourself. Like no, you're gonna have to bang it out at some point. Like be prepared to bang it out. Now, I'm just telling you, like I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. If I was going to be, attacking something, like that's what I would attack. So Super Psych says we need to talk. So anyway, guys, so yes, the shooter, a Robin Westman attacked a Catholic church in Minneapolis. And Robert, well, we're going to get to a picture of Robert. Robin, here's Robin. Also known as Robert previously. Robert got his name changed because he was transgender. Well, okay, we gotta skip some of that because YouTube's gonna shit its titties. Anyways, he made an attack. And this is how fucking crazy it was. There's a manifesto. The problem is the manifesto is entirely in Cyrillic, which is just fucking weird. Like, obviously, I can't read this slob shit. Yeah, like, like not really anything I can read here. Some people have done translations of stuff. But anyways, that is it. Here's a picture of, once again, good old Robin. But there was the manifesto got, put out there. And it's, this is kind of like an AI interpretation of things, a translation of it. She says, "I don't expect forgiveness, and I don't expect any apology. I had to hold much weight." She says, "But he says, I do apologize for my actions that will have on your lives." Well, then you probably shouldn't do it if you really cared about people. So I feel I was raised to be a good person. I've kept those traits of I'm a good person, and I've kept those traits of empathy and self-sacrifice. Really? Because you went and tried to fucking murder a bunch of kids. I don't think you're a good person. I don't think you're a good person here, buddy. Love is love, life is pain. Well, yeah, there you go. I'm tired of the pain this world gives out. Please move on and continue. And it says to my siblings, I'm sorry for ever changing the rest of your lives. Your careers, your relationships will be turned upside down. Please hold on to who you are and not who I am. Well, yeah, what the fuck? Why would you fuck over your family if you know that's going to do it? And it keeps going here. I think I'm dying of cancer. No, you are cancer. I did this to myself as I cannot control myself and have been destroying my body through vaping and other means. I think I have lung cancer. I felt many pains. I do not want to recover. I don't want to throw my life away by rotting in a hospital bed. This is you know, you all are what kept me going. I find no more interest in life. If I didn't have such an amazing group of people, I would have gone through here. Escape from the constant bills, shitty job, shitty people, and injustice of America. Say, I am done with this. I will not bow out. Well, you did. You took a knee when you fucking put a moonroof in the back of your skull. I will be selfish and leave you to pick up the pieces. It's my fault. Blame me, but please move on. Okay, well, that's fucking retarded. Whether you accept my apologies or not, I hope you can move past this and continue your lives. Remember to be good people. Now more than ever, the world needs love, even if you don't get it in return. Please find hope. Please find love and stand up to injustice by shooting up a fucking school. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. You know, this is it just, and then here's an interesting thing that comes up. And I think this is a tacit admission that his transition wasn't going well. I've wanted to say this for so long. I am not well. I am not right. I am a sad, haunted person by these thoughts that do not go away. I know this is wrong, but I can't seem to stop myself. I am severely depressed and have been suicidal for years. Only recently have I lost all hope and decided to perform my final action against this world. Well, it sounds like you've had problems for a long time. Sounds like you've had problems for a really, really long time there, champ. So, yeah. So. Let me see here. Yes. Yes, remember, all of them are like this, yes. Yes, and that's the interesting thing here. Translation, he just wants to kill children. His mom disappeared, but she has hired a lawyer. And that's fine. She's allowed to get a lawyer. He's allowed to get a lawyer. Meme Kobe says, Vapey confirmed bad. I am vindicated. Yes. So, yeah. Yeah, why not just offer yourself like a real Troon? Well, he did. He ended up starting his rifle. So from there, there's another page, and he says, I love you all. Pray for the victims and their families. You know, that is, this is all just retarded. It's all retarded. I hope he's having fun in hell getting fucked to death by Satan. Anyways, yes, guys, remember, affirm their identity or they will shoot your kids. This is also, he saw himself as being affiliated with the devil and all kinds of crazy shit. And yeah, and as Meme Copium said, yes, this is correct. This is a very correct statement here. Yes, can you make my hair look like two hairy balls coming out of the side of my head? Say no more, yes. My name is Robin. Yeah. And yeah, that this shit happens, and sad fucking story. Watch yourself, chat. I mean, that's all I can tell you, man. Protect your neck. Be aware. These lunatics, and then some of them are just straight up mentally insane. Then some of them are just very bitter revolutionary communists. And there's only one thing you can do with bitter revolutionary communists. Put them down like the dogs they are. So be prepared. You may have to handle your business at some point. Get a piece. Stay strapped. Yes, he did have ties to 764, allegedly. I don't think that's been completely set up yet. So we don't know. We don't know yet. Tomorrow is Franco Friday, yes. Yes, the Jew mayor of Minneapolis is advocating more for the troons than the praying, yes. Yes. All right, chat. We are going to be motoring through stuff here left and right. Breaking news that happened this week. John Bolton. You guys remember John Bolton, former, biggest guy pushing for starting wars all over the Middle East. John Bolton. Yes, that John Bolton. If you guys, if you don't remember John Bolton, this is an example of that neocon scumbag. This is John Bolton looking like a walrus. That's John Bolton. You may have seen him before, from other such things as Let's Go to Iraq and being on Fox News all the time, and then selling out Trump in his first administration. Here's another picture of John Bolton. Never found a war he hasn't liked. So, yes, he wants to be the next Kissinger. Yes. Yeah. So, anyways, John Bolton got raided by the FBI this past week. And what happened? Well, remember, chat, nobody's above the law. So guess what? Suffer, Mr. Bolton. Suffer. So the FBI, and look what happened, chat. All the FBI vehicles are right here. But look what's here. The news. John Bolton got the Roger Stone treatment. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. So what happened? Well, there's been apparently, and this is not Trump just seeking revenge, although I don't blame him. It's a long-running inquiry in whether he collected and leaked sensitive national security information. So FBI agents went to his home in Maryland, and they were entering with empty boxes. And then, they came out carrying things. But he's a prominent Trump critic, which raises concerns about the degree to which, notice it's Mr. Trump, not President Trump, is employing the government agencies and the machinery of criminal justice to pursue perceived enemies. You fucking took a shot at the king and you didn't stick the landing. You missed. This is what happens. So, they point out that the searches, though, must be authorized by a federal judge, and this is where the coping starts. In this instance, the search required approvals by two separate judges because it spanned two different federal districts. And they say Bolton has been under investigation for years, including during the Biden administration. The evidence will remain under seal for some time, and it probably will. So they were trying to figure out that, people are requesting anonymity. They say there might be crimes involving the Espionage Act. Ooh, buddy. And they say the information was based on intelligence collected by the CIA. And the intelligence involved the possible mishandling of classified materials. And they say that it involved accusations that Bolton had leaked sensitive national security information to the media in an effort to damage Trump. And then they also point out this is not about his book about the account of life inside the Trump White House. No. But yes, nobody's above the law. Suffer, John Bolton. Suffer. The FBI showed up at 7 a.m. on Friday last week. And you're like, you know what? Once again, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Once again, the system was already weaponized. So, one of the first acts that Trump did, though, is he revoked John Bolton's security clearance. Yes, they also took a security detail away because the Islamic Revolutionary Guards, like IRGC, were trying to assassinate John Bolton. Which, suffer. Have fun with that, buddy. Have fun looking under your car, John. So, now, as this all went on here, they say that the grand juries issued subpoenas into John Bolton. And they say, well, there's been a little noticeable activity. It's been ongoing. And yes, conducting a search of a home could be one of the final steps in a long-running case. Ask Diddy. So they said in an interview, J.D. Vance said there's a long way to go. He says we're in the early stages, and he said we're going to let it proceed. Well, you have fun with that, John Bolton. You have fun. So, the IRGC sounds kind of base. They all suck. Them and John Bolton can all die in a fire, so. But yes, there's always a book, yes. Would he be getting a federal court or is he getting a military? No, he's not a member of the military, so he's not subject to a court-martial. And he's not a terrorist, so he's not subject to a military commission. So he would have a normal federal trial in federal court. He would not have an additional thing there. But yeah, suffer, John Bolton, suffer. Once again, the people you hate and shit's happening to them, and all you can do is say LOL. Now, there's more information that came out as of yesterday. What happened? Well, there were emails that were obtained by foreign governments. And this is where it gets going here. A country intercepted his private emails. So, U.S. intelligence officials collected information that appears to show he mishandled information. The United States gathered data from an adversarial country's spy service, meaning our spy found out they were getting this stuff, including emails with sensitive information that Bolton, while still working, appeared to have sent to people close to him on an unclassified system. It's funny. They were worried about Trump giving away information, and it was John Bolton all along. Isn't that funny how that works? So, yeah. Oh, right, a foreign intelligence agency. Well, I mean, we do. To be fair, though, we have assets in all kinds of intelligence agencies. All of our friends, like the BND, we have people in the German intelligence, British. Like, I guarantee you, we have assets in MI5, MI6, all over the world. The ISI, obviously the SVR and the FSB. We have people everywhere. The CSIS, like Canada's intelligence service, I'm sure we have people and resources there. I don't know if we're good enough to have people in Mossad. Probably not, though. So, amateur iconoclast, what are you saying here? Israel? No, they wouldn't care. Yeah. What kind of punishment could he get for violating the Espionage Act? I mean, it's not good. Like the Espionage Act, that's hold on here. What are ultimately ultimately you could theoretically face a lot of punishments out of it. Like you could face death ultimately. You could get the death penalty out of it, but I mean there's not it generally hasn't happened there. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. There. 803 is saying the MI6 or the SVR. Well, both. We probably have people in both organizations. So this is what we call payback. Yes. It's treason then. Yes, it should be. It's called Five Eyes for a reason. Well, yeah, I'm sure we don't, it'd be foolish not to penetrate every intelligence organization out there. It'd be foolish not to have sources in your allied organizations. Make them fight on the front line. Yeah, that would be funny. Make them dodge some drones. Betty Q says the 2.0 stream. She once in a while when I've been working on models, she kind of works on stuff too. But for right now, she's been busy with work and stuff. But yeah, at some point in the future, she'll come back on as it gets colder out. Probably. So. Okay, moving on from there, guys. We are moving on to, let's see here. The Sandwich Assassin. J-Rock says, do we have people in Stonies? Well, actually, now that you mention it, yes, chat, we do. We have people at Stonies Bar and Grill. That's right, chat. At Stonies Bar and Grill. At 158 East Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota, chat. Stonies, your place to go, chat. It is Thursday. Get yourself some of those $2.50 cans. It's bike night still, chat. The summer's ending. But hang in there, guys. Hang in there. They had Heavenly Hog there tonight for the hog roasting. For bike night. Once again, crank your hog out on the patio in front of everybody. Labor Day, they will be open at 11 a.m. So kick off the summer, and just pop some tops, get wasted at Stoney's. Guys, tomorrow they're open at 10:30 a.m. Sunday they're open at 10:30 a.m. Get on out there, enjoy the patio, enjoy the garage. Only at Stoney's. Only at Stoney's. Then what else we got, chat? Well, we got other things here. We got the dragonstreasure.com. Promo code criminal gets you 10% off for all your tea, all your soap, and all your coffee, tea, soap, and coffee needs that are out there, guys. Help the tea man. Help him get all the way to the top, chat. Let him take him out. He's taking on everybody. He's going after them all. All the coffee companies out there. All of them. He's taking them all on. Let him share with you the wonders of his tea, his soap, and his coffee. DragonsTreasure.com, everybody. And chat, last but not least, MAF Corporation. That's right, chat. MAF-arms.com. The promo code POTCRIM for 10% off. And guys, always selling wind chimes, always some kind of things going on there. Right now they have they got all kinds of things going on. They got all kinds of great sales out there. Remember, chat, if you do ask for it in your invoice, Matt will put a lipstick kiss on your items on the invoice. And for orders of $500 or more, Ivan will put he'll take some lipstick and put it on, and he will kiss your invoice as well. That's right. The Spinning Rat Man will do it for $500 or more, chat. Keep it in mind. MAF Corporation, promo code POTCRIM. Oh. Also, keep your eyes peeled because something will be showing up on Locals very soon, coming from Fudbusters that he put together for me, took care for me. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be I can't fucking wait for it to get here. It'll be great. Optional None White Tea says wind chimes. You're just going to have to go take a look. You'll see. But yes, they're wind chimes. They hang and they bing, 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 bong, bing, bong, bong in the wind. So. Will T-Man buy the assets of Coffee Brand Coffee from bankruptcy? I don't know, but I'm betting he could at some point. So. All right, chat. But we are moving on here. Guys, remember we covered the sandwich thrower? Well, people are putting up Banksy-style posters of it, which actually is pretty fucking funny. But the grand jury in Washington, D.C. refused to indict him of a felony, which it's funny because those same people, I guarantee you, voted for every fucking January 6th person to get indicted. So, yeah, you know what? You can't find justice in this town. So what happened? Because he couldn't be indicted, he was facing a misdemeanor. The grand jury, comprised of everyday citizens, of everyday fucking government workers, saw things differently. So, but at the end of the day, great. He got away with it. He got a misdemeanor. Good for him. But it just shows you there's no justice in this world. It shows you there's no justice in this world at this point. There's no justice in Washington, D.C., and may every one of those grand jurors be ravaged by the gangs and violence they refuse to uphold. Don't feel bad for those people. Don't feel bad for those people at all, chat. So, but it makes you wonder if the January 6th people would have been indicted in their home districts. A lot of them probably wouldn't have been indicted at all. At least he got fired from the DOJ. Yeah, but you know what? That was going to happen anyway. So, yeah, maybe him and Jussie Smollett can work together. That would be funny. Oh. DC shouldn't have its own federal district. Yeah, but even if you did this in Maryland or Virginia, the odds are you would get a lot of federal workers and they wouldn't indict. Nature of the business, chat. There's nothing you can do about it. There is nothing you can do about it. So we all have to suffer at this point. So, all right. Moving on from there. Yeah, I mean, that's just, it is what it is, guys. Moving on from there, this came out this week, and this is, and guys, I know we're kind of skipping the small talk. We spent all that time dealing with Judge Fisher and all the gayness in Minnesota. We got to haul ass here. So, 2.0 called you the N-word on Discord. Based. I'm going to ask her to tag me so I can call you the N-word too. All right. So this was something that came out saying if you burn an American flag, you get 1 year in jail. And now you're like, what the fuck? And this came from the official White House account, the special assistant to the president in communications. You're like, what the fuck? And yeah, this is, we're going to actually go through this here. Hold on one second, chat.
You burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. No early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way, did they?
Yeah, incitement is
incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record.
Okay, well, number one, fuck all of that, the way that's done. But more importantly, let's actually look at the executive order that Trump signed. I will say when I first read this, I'm like, nope, don't fucking want it. Don't want it. Don't like it. Nope. But as we go here, you know, there's an ulterior motive here. As somebody pointed out to me to actually read the rest of it, it's like there's a game plan here. There's some 4D chess. It's not the best, but they're trying. So what is the chess in this? Well, they talk about the purpose of the flag. The flag is a symbol of our strength and national life. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And they say, notwithstanding the court's ruling on First Amendment protections, this court has never held the American flag desecration conducted in a manner that is likely to incite imminent lawless action or amount of fighting words is constitutionally protected. And it says, see Texas versus Johnson. Now, this is not correct. The idea of burning a flag is going to be highly provocative. It's highly fucking provocative. It's going to want to incite emotions and make people want to do things. So the idea that it's not constantly protected as a fighting word under Texas v. Johnson is bullshit. I don't think that's a proper reading of Johnson. Lighting a flag on fire is meant to piss people off. So I think that's wrong. Now, what do they talk about? Measures to combat desecration of the flag. Okay, well, they say the Attorney General shall prioritize law enforcement of criminal and civil laws against acts of flag desecration that violate applicable content-neutral laws while causing harm unrelated to expression consistent with the First Amendment. Okay, so what does this actually mean? Well, like if I light a flag and I don't have a permit to start a fire, that's valid. Or if I light a fire where there's a burn ban in place, like out in the desert or during a drought, that could be an issue. If I walk into a building and I start a fire, that would be a thing there. But they talk about violent crimes, hate crimes, discrimination against American citizens. I don't know how the fuck that's going to be a thing. Or the violations of American civil rights. I don't know what that's going to be. Crimes against property. Yeah. Crimes against the peace. I mean, maybe. But like this right here is like, I still don't like this. Don't like that. So they say in cases where the executive agency determines that flag desecration may violate state or local laws, such as open burning restriction, disorderly conduct, or destruction of property, they shall refer it. Still, fuck all that. And they say to the maximum extent permitted by the Constitution, the Attorney General shall prosecute the individuals that involve desecrating the flag. Fuck all that. Fuck that. That's gay. I almost wanted to film myself burn a fucking flag on that. So. This is all fucking garbage. This thing right here, though, this is the 3D chess move. Permitting the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and Homeland Security shall deny prohibit, terminate, or revoke visas, resident permits, and naturalization proceedings and other immigration benefits, or seek removal from the United States pursuant to federal law whenever there's been an appropriate determination that foreign nationals have engaged in flag desecration activity under circumstances that permit remedies pursuant to federal law. That's based. That right there is what I want. You want to live in this fucking country and yet you're burning the flag and saying it's a shitty place? Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. That is what I'm all about there. Like, that is. It's all based. I'm just a quarter by. No, the first parts are gay as fuck. And unconstitutional as fuck. This right here. Bam. You know, I want a visa to come to your great country, but I'm also got your flag on fire. Yeah, no, fuck you. Get out. Fuck you. Get out. We are enforcing Westphalian principles of a nation state. Yeah, why are you here if you hate it so much? Mm-hmm. Yep. Flag burning is as constitutional as abortion. Actually, it's 100% constitutional. You're allowed to disagree with your government fully. Murdering babies is not on the dot. Murdering babies is not in the same spot. Let's see here. It's even considered disrespectful let the flag touch the ground. Yeah, it's disrespectful. It's also disrespectful to have it out at night if it's not lit. It's disrespectful to have it out at night even if it's lit in the rain. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of that shit. But flag code is not really real law. So, how does this reconcile with the fact that even aliens are protected by the Constitution? Well, it's going to be really difficult to say we can deny you entry based upon anti-American activity. I mean, like, people can be in organizations that we deny and don't let you in for, and they don't get to scream my freedom of assembly. Like, if you're a member of fucking Hezbollah. So no, I think that'll work. I think it'll work. I think it should be. Propaganda says they need to do a carve out so we can properly dispose of damaged or dishonored flags. You can already do that under the flag code mentions that. And if you're clearly like doing a flag decommissioning ceremony, this is not fucking one of them. Like, those are done and they're pretty neat if you've ever been to one where flags get basically decommissioned and, destroyed. It's a pretty neat ceremony. But yeah, this is not one of them. This is not. I wouldn't. You're worrying about the wrong thing there. So we can expel you for anti-American activity too. Fuck, you can. You have to find a plane that'll fit on. So flags can enjoy a little bit of rain as a treat. Yeah, that way they grow and they get bigger. Yes, it is not a right to enter, correct. So this part here is like the 4D chess thing is, but the rest of this up here is just, this is all fucking garbage. This is all garbage and should be fucking no. No. Not at all correct in any way, shape, or form. It is a provocative fighting word. So the idea that it doesn't no. And all this, no. It's just that one little part, chat, and we'll zoom out. Like I said, no. It's just this one part of it. One part of it is correct. This one part is the only part that's correct. This is the only part correct. The rest of it's garbage. The rest of it's hot garbage. So. Brian says literally no arguments for why. I mean, which arguments for why? Like, if you're anti-American activity and you're applying to enter the country, I think that's a pretty obvious answer. Sorry, we're not letting you in. So, can you? I'm be the first person deported by ship in decades. Yeah, they'll have to put me on one of the roll-on, roll-off ships. So, yeah, I'll be deported by train. That's how they'll indulge me. Yeah, I agree. This is the funny part. They're gonna make the Democrats defend urban crime and burning the flag, which it's like he's gonna force them to do retarded things. So, in a way, good on them. In a way, good on him. You know, will this work? Will this work? I don't know. Yeah, roll on, roll off. Yeah, they're gonna do Reforger, and that's evacuating me from the country. Is the next time they're gonna run Reforger 2025. All right. Moving on from there, chat, there's an update with the Kilmar Abrego-Garcia guy. You know, the Maryland man who's getting a fuerad. So what happens here? So the habeas petition has been heard. And what are they doing? Well, by September 22nd, responses to the habeas petition are due. By September 22nd, so a month from now. October 2nd, the parties are submitting a witness list. There's going to be an evidentiary hearing October 6th. This is Judge Zinnis basically telling all of us to go fuck ourselves and telling Trump to go fuck himself. Yeah. Absolute fucking horseshit. I hope the Supreme Court gets involved before this goes and he gets fucking a fuerad. Get rid of this motherfucker now. So, absolutely bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. Yeah, suffer in Uganda. I agree. Have fun in Uganda, Kilmar. But it's okay. They speak English there too. We talked about him earlier in the week. They're like, I can't go to Uganda. I don't speak the language. It's like, you do, though. You speak English. And Shredder S07 says, Kilmar Abrego-Garcia. Yes. 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 Send him to Ralph's Crack Shack. Well, you got to be fair to people. Like, we have some obligations. So, let's go. Brandon says, how'd they set him up for Uganda? Well, Costa Rica had offered, but he refused to go to Costa Rica. So they said, fine, we'll have to find another country because he can't go back to El Salvador. So Uganda's like, we'll take him. Sudan's like, we'll take him. He's like, no, I don't want that now. He's like, I'll take Costa Rica. And we're like, sorry, you missed your chance. You're getting a fuerad to the Horn of Africa, brother. Have fun with that. So, yes, so much time has been wasted on Maryland, man. Yes. Yes. Very, very true. Very true. Crozan Govold saying, I was just in Germany for Reforger 2025, a unit reunion for a family member. Oh, cool. If you guys don't know what Reforger is, Reforger was the military code name for the operation of should the Russians actually attack NATO and they send tanks through the Fulda Gap streaming into West Germany, the U.S. military, that the army was not going to be equipped well enough to hold out indefinitely. They were going to suffer tons of casualties. They were going to too much equipment would be destroyed. So Reforger was the idea. How fast could we load up all the shit we have here and send it to Europe? And it would land in France, and it would land in, in certain ports. We'd unload it all, and we'd send it to the front line to fight. And they tried it twice in the 80s. It was called Reforger. And that was the operation. And it actually turned out like wasn't too bad. The problem is you have to get all that shit across the Atlantic Ocean where the Russians would be attacking it. So we don't know how effective it would have been, but that's what Reforger is, chat. Brian says, how is behavior meant to incite a riot protected under the First Amendment? I mean, at some point, it's political speech. And because people may riot over it doesn't mean that you can't get to say it. Because that's like saying, you're not allowed to say these words because you'll make people mad. Like, oh, don't do that. You'll make the minorities mad, or you'll make the Jews mad, or you'll make whoever mad. Sorry, if they can't fucking handle it, that's not our problem. So I would argue you still have a right to burn the flag. It's kind of like the idea of like people when like Kyle Rittenhouse happened. And they were saying like, well, if you carry a gun around, it's going to make people mad. If people get irrationally mad for me exercising my right, that's a them problem, not a me problem. So, okay. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Neos, we gotta get some things here real quick, chat. Neosu says, I used to watch a lot too, but I quit watching because whenever anybody talks about Nick, it just makes me sad. Sorry it makes you sad, but at times it's hilarious, and this is a very funny story now with Nick Melton and Aaron. It's like, you know, it's hilarious all around. Salvatore is saying, for $5, could the judge that view that Third World Aristocrat video Melton and solely base his judgment on how vile Melton is? No, but that video is a good collection of things. Now, like, they can claim, oh, it's been edited, but like at the end of the day, did you say these things, Mr. Melton? Yes. Well, there you go. Anime Exceptionals of $2 says, libertarians are cringe, they're gay. Yes, they are. They are. Yes. BobTube for $5 Australian doodles says, if Frank sucks, is there any reason that Nick would keep him on? I don't understand. No one else wants to sign off on Nick's motions. Probably. And Trixlayer or Trixlaser is saying, if the rumor is true that an A-log rolled on Nick and Melton and told the cops they paid him to record Aaron, is Nick fucked? No, but that looks really bad to, you know, the whole idea of we're harassing this guy. We're not harassing him, but we're sending people in to record and fuck with him. I mean, it really looks bad. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. It doesn't necessarily get them in trouble, but it's going to look really bad in court. Shark Jumper says, congrats to OGA Ron Mueller. Yes, Ron Mueller, guys, if you watch Future Conflicts, has a job in the DOD now for readiness matters. So congrats to Ron. I know you're probably not watching this, but congrats anyway. The DUI guy is obsessed with You mean Amber? Sean also needs to buy 2 seats on Southwest starting next month. Like, okay. Fair enough. Let's see here. Nick also wanted liquor in his pussy. Probably his pussy. I bet Judge Fisher would have pegged Nick in her robes. Maybe that would have been funny. Maybe in the next life, Nick and Judge Fisher can meet up and be friends. Yeah, that would be funny. Nick hates her because Stephen Cooper says Nick hates Fisher because of the same. How did she feel about Denny's? Ooh. I don't know. That's a good question. Justin Hancock says, with all the success you're having, you looking for a Mr. Martin 1.0? Asking for a friend? No, sadly, no. I'm happy, sadly for your friend. No, I'm not. I'm getting Mrs. Martin 2.0. That's good enough for me. Thank you, though. I'm flattered. Debbie O for $5 says, friendly reminder, Florida has a Second Amendment sales tax holiday from September 8th, 2025 to the end of the year. Buy yourself a gun. And apparently you don't have to pay tax on it. What better way to spend your time? So, what a better way to spend your time. So, Brandon Lesko says, don't be a homo, Sean. I know, but hey, you know what? Like, it's like, okay, thanks. I mean, compliments are compliments. All right, guys, moving on from there, we are now on to just some updates on some things here. We're going to get to the big thing at the end here. Judge Dugan, the judge in Milwaukee, Remember, we covered the magistrate's ruling. Well, the judge on her case accepted it and rejected the immunity claims in the ICE obstruction cases. And remember, this is the judge where she tells the ICE agents to go fuck off, and she has them sneak out the door. Well, she's gonna have to go to fucking trial. Have fun with that. Have fun with that. So, yeah. Anyways, here's that judge. Look at that woman. Look at her. Like Mason Verger from freaking Hannibal. Look at her face. Anyway, the judge ruled on the motion, and she says that the official seeking absolute immunity bears the burden showing how she's justified for the function. And she says, I cannot say as a matter of law the defendant's conduct falls within this even more limited version of immunity. Yep, and there she is. There she is. At a pro-Ukraine rally. Safa! Safa, you deserve it just for that. You deserve it just for that, honey. And it says there's no basis for granting immunity simply because of the allegations in the indictment describe conduct that could be considered part of a judge's job. And then ultimately, here she is again, pictures of her telling the ICE agents to run away. Falsely telling the agents they need a warrant and directing them to go to the judge's office. So yeah, there you go. She has scheduled a hearing about her motion for September 3rd. So yeah. They want a trial to begin before the end of the year. No date has been set. I hope she gets fucking convicted, chat. I hope she gets fucking convicted. So, a face only a sidewalk could love. Yes. Hella, I have no idea what's happened, so telling me about, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. So. Okay. But if you tell me about it, I'd be happy to take a look at it. Now, this is an interesting one. This is hold on, where are we at here? Okay. Hold on, chat. Okay. We're looking okay on time here. We're chugging along on this. This is a woman right here. And this is a judge in the DC circuit. Her name is actually she's a United States District Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. And if you guys don't understand the Federal Circuit is not it's not a circuit court in that sense. It's its own circuit. It's a part of the U.S. Court of Claims. It's part of the Court of Customs and Patent Appeals. Like, they do a lot of different stuff. That's a lot of their types of things they do. And if you guys have never seen the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, this is the kind of stuff they handle. So if it's any of these things, it's like there are special courts you have to go to here. And this is what they cover. So like they cover international trade, monetary claims against the government, federal personnel, veterans benefits, trademarks, patents. They can come from all the different courts. They have a trademark appeal board. They can, the Merit Systems Protection Board. What they don't do is they don't handle immigration cases, bankruptcy cases, criminal cases, and state court cases, or cases from other U.S. Courts of Appeals or the Supreme Court. So that is the thing here, but they cover all kinds of other stuff. Government accountability appeals, the International Trade Commission. It's its own separate jurisdiction. Well, this is a judge, and this judge is Pauline Newman, this woman here. She is currently a judge on this court. And you might say, wow. Was she there when the Constitution is written? No, but we're going to talk about her really quick. What is her profile? What is her biography? Well, this is Pauline Newman's biography. She was appointed by Ronald Reagan in 1984, so she's been a judge for 41 years. But look how far back her timeline is. From 1969 to 1984, she worked for the trademark department of a company. and was in-house counsel from 1954 onwards. You're like, wait, how far back does this woman go? Okay, well, let's get down to it. Judge Newman received her BA from Vassar College in 1947. Her master's from Columbia in 1948, a PhD from Yale in 1952, and an LLB from New York University Law School in 1958. This woman's been an attorney as long as my mom's been alive. Holy Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yes. Yes, she invented nagging. She wrote the 3/5 compromise, chat. But look how far back she's been around. She was on a State Department advisory committee for intellectual property from 1974 to 84. She's been all kinds of things. This woman's been around since 1958, though. Whoa. Wow. Wow. Yes, I am the law. Yes, she is the law. Yes, she was born in 1927. She is 98 years old. Yes. Yes. So what does this mean for her? Well, there's a lot going on, and she's been suspended from her job because there's concerns because she's fucking 98 years old. So and this is something the U.S. Court of Appeals denied a bid to reinstate a lawsuit challenging her suspension. And they say the 3-judge panel for the District of Columbia rejected her argument, saying her suspension was unconstitutional. And chat, here's the thing. She's the oldest federal judge not to have taken the form of semi-retirement known as senior status. Now, what does senior status mean? Well, when you're senior status, you don't have a full docket. You have a smaller docket, a lesser docket, but you're allowed, you still get a clerk and you still have an office. But you have to keep above a certain threshold. You can't just take one case a year. You have to keep things going. But you get to have it's a very common thing for older judges to do this, and they take a reduced caseload. It's a very common, if you go to any district court's website, you'll see senior status judges listed as well. And yeah, this is just, she's meeting with her attorneys to discuss her steps. And she said, I just don't see how I can walk away from this. And what's the problem here? Well, they're saying that she has shown signs of cognitive and physical impairment. And they say that she refused to cooperate with an investigation into her fitness. And that's a big thing. If you are fit, then you cooperate. If you don't, you get in trouble. And remember, we've had this issue before. Like we talk about, like Ginsburg. Ginsburg would fall asleep at the bench, and like you've seen those where they do the writings of the Supreme Court, they do the drawings, and Ginsburg's always like in it. Yeah, she's fallen asleep. Like it happens. There used to be, attorneys have told tales and written accounts of like way back in the day with the Supreme Court, late 1800s, early 1900s. Half of them be fucking sleeping on the bench. Like it happens. It happens. So she has maintained she's fit to serve and sued the council. And they said that her suspension, which can be renewed annually, is a unconstitutional impeachment. So they extended her suspension in July. She lost a related challenge at the Judicial Conference of the United States. And remember, that's the governing body for the courts. That's who's in charge of disciplining judges. Now, Congress can also discipline a judge because she's an Article 3 judge. She could be disciplined and impeached. But the D.C. Circuit said that there are important and serious questions. It can only consider her challenge of the law governing suspensions, and that any recourse must come from a judicial council or the judicial conference, meaning they can't help her here. She has to go talk to the people that suspended her. But yeah, think about it. Like 90, like they're like, you're too old. Give us the keys, Grandma. You can't do this anymore. But think about that. That's a long fucking time to be a judge, man. It's a long fucking time. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, it's a long time. It's a long ass time. Oh. Moving on to other things, guys. The Menendez brothers, Lyle and Eric, well, they lost their parole cases. They were denied parole, and the audio from the hearings was leaked. So, and I think it's funny they show him sitting here. It's like this is like an early 2000s like thing of like the internet, and it's he just needs to be holding a cup of coffee like that one meme. The guy's going like, but he's like, yes, this internet thing with his like glasses and everything. This totally looks like a meme. This totally looks like a stock photo. But anyways, he's attending his virtual parole hearing. Anyways, the unexpected release of the audio kind of derailed everything last week. So last Thursday, Eric and Lyle were, had their hearings. On Lyle's hearing was Friday, he got denied, but Eric was on Thursday, he had been denied. So in the recording, Eric details the abuse he endured at the hands of his mom and the reasons for killing his mother. They also contain the rationale for denying the release. And the recording surfaced in the midst of testimony describing the violence Lyle has experienced in prison at the hands of other inmates. And it's just interesting that this happened. And it's, that just doesn't accidentally happen. That just doesn't accidentally happen here. So it is very interesting to see how this works. Now, remember, they're not done because, the people can review this, but for right now, they're kind of toast. Remember, the judge said they're eligible as youthful offenders. So they're eligible for parole, but are they going to get parole is now the second step. And they say that there was a leak for all these hearings, and they claim that it prevents them from getting fair and impartial hearings. And yes, it turns into a public spectacle, although I think they wanted to be a public spectacle. I think that's really what they wanted. And they say, though, nobody warned them that their voices and most intimate thoughts would be released as they made statements. And they're worried that they won't help anymore. So they say audio recordings were prohibited except by state officials. And it says the media organizations were barred from releasing information. And they say that reporters who were permitted to observe hearings from the conference, that the audio was accidentally shared. Well, we'll see what happens there. But yes, the Menendez brothers lost their parole thing for now. And yes, Ron, I agree. I've heard they had really kind of shitty prison records too. So Katie Couric is about to step out of the wings and ask him, what is the internet? Yes. I agree. Yes, it is very, very interesting with that. Moving on, guys, we're second to last story for the night. Lil Nas X has a bunch of felony charges. I'm sure you're like, oh, wow, I really want to hear this. Did you miss the racket segment? Yes, we started off at that. So going to have to go all the way back to the beginning. Go back to the start, to quote Coldplay. So what happened? So Lil Nas X got arrested. He's got some felony charges after he started fighting some cops who tried to arrest him. If you guys don't know who Lil Nas X is, this is him. This is that Old Town Road, song guy. And so what did he do? Well, he was roaming the streets of LA in his underwear and eventually naked this past weekend. And there are some photos of him, if you guys haven't seen them. So, like, there's some photos of him running around naked. There is a video of him running around in his underwear. People.
Lil Nas X was hospitalized after he was arrested while naked on the streets of LA.
Yes, get my good side. Every side.
Here's what happened. Montero Lamar Hill, better known as rapper Lil Nas X, was arrested Thursday morning after LA police received reports of a naked man wandering down Ventura Boulevard around 6 a.m. Video released to TMZ.
So anyways, he got, they tried to arrest him. He fought them. He got charged with felony assault on a police officer. So we'll see what happens with that. That may be a fun trial to cover, because I'm sure it's going to be hilarious as stuff happens. Anyways, he spoke out, and once again, I don't understand why he made a statement after being arrested, but yeah, this is, once again, don't talk to the media. Don't do any of this.
Okay. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
I mean, yeah, shit. I don't want to get a felony. So, if he hadn't fought back, would he have been charged with anything or even arrested? I don't know, ultimately, because they probably would have realized he's like wigging out, and yeah, normally, like, you probably wouldn't anything bad happen. But yeah, bro's the gayest poof to ever queer. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe he would have gotten some like public indecency or disorderly conduct stuff, but it would have been relatively minor. Remember, chat, take your pinch like a man. It'll be a lot easier for you. Fighting back is pretty retarded. Why is every story gay? Because everything's gay now. So, yes, if you guys didn't know, Lil Nas X is gay as fuck, but he is. El Degusto says, you cover the Roger Jackson wrestling thing yet? No, we're going to cover that tomorrow night because we got all the video, and there's, Rampage has talked, and like there's more stuff out there. So we're going to do that tomorrow night, among some other things. So just don't do what he did. Yes, he had the blood sneakers and all kinds of fucked up shit. Oh, all right, guys. Now we're moving the final thing. The farms. Yes, the Kiwi Farms and 4chan are suing the government of Great Britain. And you're like, wait, what? And from here, when are you going to read the Ofcom lawsuit? Right meow. So what are they doing? Well, they're suing the Ofcom, the Office of Communications of the United Kingdom, over its age verification laws and the Online Safety Act. I love this glowing Pepe. The neon Pepe is the best Pepe. Although it's probably like LED technically. So anyways, Kiwi Farms and 4chan are suing the Ofcom over its age verification laws in federal court. Now, why are they doing this? Well, because Ofcom has said that, we are going to fine you and basically hold you accountable because UK people access your site, so you have to comply with our age verification laws. The UK passed the Online Safety Act, chat. We talked about this. It's basically going to outlaw VPNs, and you got to show who you are and put your ID out there. And yes, Null received a notice saying you are subject to this, and we could fine you. And 4chan's already said that they've had problems with it. Now, it's funny because the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the EFF, they're fucking sellouts. But Ofcom began investigating 4chan and announced a decision that 4chan had contravened its duties and charged them a £20,000 penalty a day. And the farms have been threatened with fines as well. And they claim that, and the UK government is claiming, that under the law, any service that has links to the UK now has duties to protect UK citizens, no matter where in the world it's based. So what happened? Well, and this is the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. Some people have taken the field for the farms. And it's so funny reading this, chat. It's so funny reading this. 4chan Community Support LLC and LolCow LLC doing business as Kiwi Farms. Yeah. Yes, the UK would be better off making grooming gangs illegal first. Yes, they could, but they won't. And don't worry, that'll probably get you in trouble too. So, with the UK. So what do they say? And they say the internet is a global system of communication between computer servers. And despite its reach, it is more or less acknowledged the internet is predominantly an American innovation built by American citizens, residents, companies, and the U.S. is the largest and most thriving technology sector of any G7 state. Yep. And it says foreign governments, particularly those of Europe, which have not managed to build sectors of their own, have for the past decade or more sought to control the American internet and hobble American competitiveness through a range of legislative and non-legislative initiatives. These governments have threatened American and other non-European entrepreneurs with coercive threats, fines, arrests, and imprisonment for conduct which is perfectly lawful in territories where their websites are based. And they say, see the arrest of Russian internet entrepreneur Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram. Yes, remember, he was detained by French government for quite a while, and basically it's suspected he compromised, they forced him to compromise Telegram, or they weren't going to release him. So, Telegram's compromised now. They talk about by French authorities in 2024, or the opening of a criminal file against social media company Twitter by French prosecutors in July 2025. Yep, that happened. That has happened. And they said United Kingdom recently joined France in applying its laws with the Online Safety Act of 2023. And this was used to target the free speech of American citizens. And the Online Safety Act grants a wide commercial powers to a corporation. That corporation, Ofcom, uses these, and they can impose ruinous civil penalties, refers for criminal penalties, including arrest and imprisonment. And they could do this to American and real corporate citizens. The orders are not obeyed. Now, you might say, well, what can they do? It's not like they're going to send, the SAS to come tag you. No, but guess what happens? They put out a notice for you with Interpol. If you travel internationally, they could get you detained and brought to Britain. So this is a fucking problem. This is a big fucking problem. Now, what do they talk about the parties here. 4chan is formed under the laws of Delaware. And notice that, and they talk about this. Now, here's the great part. They say Delaware was a colony of the Kingdom of Great Britain until the Assembly of Lower Counties of Pennsylvania that declared itself independent of British authority on June 15th, 1776, thereby creating the state of Delaware. Delaware subsequently was the first state to ratify the Declaration of Independence, the instrument in which the United States of America, on July 4th, 1776. Under the terms of the 1783 Treaty of Paris, the Kingdom of Great Britain officially acknowledged the United States as a sovereign and independent nation. Based. I fucking love this. And if you guys don't know who the attorneys are on this, one of them you're going to be very familiar with. One of them, not so much. But one of the attorneys, Ron fucking Coleman. Then another guy, Preston Byrne. Fucking Chads. Fucking Chads. Chad. So we're going to keep going through this a little bit more, chat. We might not have time to get through the whole thing here, but the beginning of this is absolutely hilarious. And then it says Plaintiff Lolcow LLC is a limited liability company formed under the laws of West Virginia. And it says, although the area that compromises West Virginia was originally part of the British Virginia colony, upon U.S. independence, it constituted the western part of the U.S. Commonwealth of Virginia and later the state of Virginia. At the time of the U.S. Civil War, Western Virginia was sharply divided over the issue of secession from the Union, leading to its separation from Virginia, formalized by West Virginia's admittance to the Union as a new state in 1863. Neither Delaware nor West Virginia are part of the UK. Their citizens, both natural and corporate, don't answer to the UK. So they point out that the UK Ofcom is a portmanteau of the Office of Communications, and the UK is the successor state to the Kingdom of Great Britain. And they say that it was established under the provisions of the Communications Act of 2003. It administers the Online Safety Act. And they believe that they can enforce the UK law against everyone in the world, including real and corporate citizens of the United States. And they say, how does this work here? Well, there's jurisdiction and venue, and they have jurisdiction because it arises under the laws of the U.S. under the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments and the CDA, the Communications Decency Act. And they say this court has personal jurisdiction over Ofcom through the long arm statutes of the District of Columbia. Because Ofcom has committed unlawful acts, sending threatening emails to U.S.-based companies that interfere with their rights and business operations, and they're engaged in substantial and not isolated activity in the U.S. through its systematic targeting of U.S.-based internet platforms with enforcement actions. And it says reportedly larger American companies like Rumble, Twitter, and Reddit, which have had direct effects. They say that additionally, the effects are felt by internet companies operating in the District of Columbia. Okay, how much time we got left? 2:35. It's midnight. Ooh, we got to stop now. We got to stop now, chat. We're gonna kind of blow through this real quick. So, anyways, they point out the farms, while controversial, operate in full compliance with the laws. Kiwi Farms is one of the most well-known small websites in the world. 4chan operates in compliance with all laws. 4chan has no presence outside the territorial limits of the United States. Neither does the farms. So they say Ofcom's ambitions are to regulate entirety for the world, regardless of where you're based or connections to the UK. And they say they believe the online services are not based in the UK, but most of the things are in the United States. All four of Ofcom's first social targets, being Sasu, Gab, Kiwi Farms, and 4chan, are American. And they say it's independent of the government and companies we regulate. And they say their funding comes from fees paid to us by companies we regulate to cover the cost of the work we do. They say that it's a private corporation that acts as an official censor. And even though it's not an instrumentality of the British state, they're not entitled to sovereign immunity under 28 U.S.C. 1604. And they say, we don't censor what people write. Our job is to make sure to keep users safe. And it says we're not responsible for removing content. We won't require companies to remove content or accounts. We're to build a safer life online by making sure firms have things to prevent harm and protect people. As detailed below, these are false. And they say the conception of keeping users safe is keeping them safe from encountering points of view which Ofcom disapproves. Now, they purport to regulate content on platforms they don't like, and they're administering the Online Safety Act. So they're funded by the companies it purports to regulate, and that it intends to charge large web companies who have qualifying revenue £250 million sterling. The King sterling! Approximately 0.2% of their worldwide turnover as a fee to fund their operations. This is set by the UK Secretary of State for the Department for Science, Innovation, and Technology. And they say prior to this, they must take advice on what the threshold figures should be. They're granted a monopoly on the content moderation policy services. And the fee corresponds to services of a type normally performed by tech companies in-house. And they say these policy frameworks have been developed, however, their commercial policy making purports to be compulsory. And it says they may make a profit in a given year, although they carry forward any losses. And they say most of the companies Ofcom will purport to fund are unconstitutional enforcement machinery. They say that they're a commercial enterprise and that this is commercial activity. Therefore, they're not immune from the jurisdiction of the U.S. courts. And the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act does not apply. Because normally you can't sue a foreign government. You're not allowed to. The Zoom hearing link is up on the farm, so there's restraining orders. Ooh, good. That'll be interesting. All right, chat, we're going to knock this out here, though. We are going to get this going, yes. Ron Coleman's so Jewish, just the lawyer you want on your side. Yes, chat, correct. All right, let's keep this going here. They say the court determines that Ofcom is entitled to sovereign immunity. It does not preclude the court's ability to grant relief. They say, among other things, it wants to require U.S. companies to conduct risk assessments for their compliance with UK law, to keep those assessments up to date and carry out risk assessments before altering their service. And they say this is all protected by the free speech clause of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. And they say, notwithstanding that, OSA also purports to impose legal duties on U.S. companies to remove speech hosted on U.S. platforms. And they say either by priority illegal content or notification and a notice and takedown basis. And they say, what's priority illegal content? Where the victim or intended victim of the offense is an individual, the offense is created by a primary legislation, and an order made by a crown minister or involved legislation from Parliament. So illegal content includes speech that is protected by the First Amendment. And they purport to require the plaintiffs to verify the age of their users. This would kill anonymity and pseudo-anonymity, which is the thing they're trying to do. This is crushing dissent. And they say the First Amendment protects the right to permit anonymous use of platforms. And they say further, the OSA purports to require these providers to make and keep a written record of all aspects of every risk assessment. And they say that you have to carry out, maintain, and explain and furnish on-demand risk assessments if this organization tells you to do it. Ofcom is granted the power to issue demands to compel a recipient to provide them with the information to decide or whether to exercise any of the online safety functions. Meaning, Ofcom can knock on Noel's door and go, "We need all your shit now." So what do they talk about? Well, there's compliance. And the compliance may include the provision of incriminating information on demand, including how they intend to comply, copies of risk assessments, or disclosing the existence of illegal content and the risk assessment there. You know, there's civil fines, criminal charges, criminal fines, 6 months imprisonment when tried summarily, or imprisonment of up to 2 years when tried on an indictment. Ofcom has threatened these guys with all of this. It claims it may require U.S. citizens to comply with information notices and incriminate themselves on demand without Ofcom first obtaining a warrant or serving a request under the UK-United States Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty, which we have a special treaty with the UK. You know, the farms and 4chan have a right under the Constitution to free speech. So suck a dick. And also the Fourth Amendment, suck a bigger dick. And the right against self-incrimination under the Fifth Amendment, suck another dick. Yes, they can't arrest people if they don't know who they are. Yep, and they could fuck right off. So, and they say the false communications offense makes it a crime to send information what the sender knows to be false at the time sending that message if you're going to cause non-trivial psychological or physical harm to a likely audience. And the person had no reasonable excuse for sending the message. God, this would kill like all of Darkside Phil's detractors. They create a defamation crime. And defamation crimes include a historical crime of seditious libel, which is abolished when the First Amendment was ratified on December 15th, 1791. They're going to require the farms and 4chan to remove content which is illegal under the OSA. And their demands include the legally binding information notice, a failure to respond letter, the investigation notice, the final legal notice, and the preliminary contravention email, and the provisional decision notice, to the extent they pertain to speech under Section 179 and constitute foreign judgments that would restrict speech under U.S. law. And it says the plaintiffs are providers of interactive computer services. And it says 4chan and the farms operate and allow people to share content. And they treat the plaintiffs as publishers or speakers of the content. And they demand that through the Online Safety Act, they want user-generated content and implement moderation policies. This conflicts with Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And ultimately, the OSA purports to compel U.S. website operators to censor speech in a manner contrary to the United States Constitution, which you can't do. So they tried to censor 4chan, and they sent those notices. They said the failure to comply may constitute a criminal offense, and that it may result in 18 million pound or 10% of 4chan's worldwide turnover, or arrest and imprisonment. This was not validly served under the Legal Assistance Treaty. They sent a second letter. It was not validly served. You know, the failure to respond, once again, they threatened the 18 million pound penalty. And then in June, they received another letter that it was opening an investigation for violations of illegal content risk assessment duties. Imagine that, like you're sitting there and you get these things from another country saying you're breaking the law. And remember, for a while, Twitter was sending those out saying, hey, apparently Germany thinks you're breaking the law. It's like, well, fuck off. You know, the safety duties and their record keeping. They also sent 4chan their final notice. And once again, the failure to comply could lead to an 18 million pound fine or imprisonment or both. Once again, it was not validly served. Remember, service is important, Chad. If you don't serve properly, what do you do? Then in July, they sent 4chan an email stating displeasure with the fact 4chan wasn't responding. And they stated that Ofcom intends to issue a notice of contravention. And what does this mean ultimately? It purports to require American real and corporate citizens to provide information on pain of ruinous fines, arrest, and imprisonment. The preliminary conventions were sent to multiple inboxes at the 4chan.org domain. And the email was not validly served under the U.S. Assistance Treaty again. They also sent a 33-page provisional decision notice that it violated the act. It's like, fuck you people. Fuck you people. I mean, is it wrong for me to say at this point, I hope some guys who believe in Allahu Akbar take a fucking Ryder truck full of fertilizer to this building in Britain? I mean, that'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be interesting if that happened in Britain? I'm just saying. Or if a couple of fucking people showed up with machetes and started showing off their machetes to everybody who worked in that building. That would be a real fucking shame. That would break my heart. So, Six Art says, what am I suggesting? I ain't suggesting shit. So yeah, this is so ultimately they threatened to impose a 20,000 pound fine. Once again, 20,000 pounds sterling, as well as daily fines of 100 pounds sterling. Once again, Chad, it's the king sterling. Long live the king. For non-compliance for a maximum of 60 days. So they sent the notice, and once again, they sent it to boxes not related to legal process, and it was not validly served. And the one we care about, the attempts to censor the farms. So they said that Ofcom is a regulator for online safety, and it says, it does not matter where you or your business are based. New duties will apply to your business if the service you provide has links to the UK. Once again, I hope somebody bombs that fucking building and burns it to the ground. Really. I hope there's a fucking fire and nobody can get out. Oops. I'm just talking about a welding fire. That would be actually funnier. So. When they say, other than being accessible to the internet, who voluntarily choose to peruse and interact with the content, farms no links to the UK. The letter also stated that under duties under the Act are now in effect, and if you are in scope, you are therefore required to take steps to comply. They said they wanted to carry out the risk assessment and keep records of the assessment. The sale will send a binding notice requiring you to submit the record. And I hope Noel fucking sent pictures of his dick. Or just send pictures of, like, I don't know, fucking from the Troon threads. Actually, send the video Mr. Medicare put up of the fucking inside-out penis surgery. And it says, following the receipt of the advisory letter, the farms blocked the UK users from accessing the website. Yep, you need a VPN if you're from Britain. Farms, through its counsel, replied, stating, among other things, where Americans are concerned, the act purports to legislate the Constitution out of existence. Parliament does not have that authority. This issue was settled decisively 243 fucking years ago in a war that the UK's armies lost are not in a position to relitigate. Based. Suffer Britain. Suffer UK. And it says the website was taken down for maintenance on July 16th. Site access was restored the same day. But the UK IP block was not reactivated as that functionality was not ready to deploy. And notwithstanding the short gap, Ofcom sent a second demand, demanding the farms comply. In correspondence, they demand the Kiwi Farms tailor its operation to the dictates of a foreign regulatory body having no authority over it. The farms decided not to restore the IP block to the UK. I didn't realize that. I thought it was still in effect. You're like, even more based. No. Even more based. Hold on one second here, chat. All right. So when the farms received the second demand, it was aware that Ofcom had threatened American citizens and companies with criminal penalties. And after sending the letter in a statement to Recorded Future News, which is published, it says, make no mistake, providers who fail to introduce measures can expect to face enforcement action. And the second demand was not served validly under the U.S. Mutual Assistance Treaty. And the farms understands the second demand to be a Section 100 order. So what are they talking about here? So they say, upon information and belief, they targeted the plaintiffs not as part of neutral activity, but for overtly political reasons, aimed at undermining the First Amendment, to intimidate Americans and cripple the American internet sector. You know, they want to intimidate the companies into obeying, they want to pay the fees and fund the commercial activities, having no lawful power to impose the fee. And they say all four of the first actions were against American social media companies. And they sought to make examples out of the most well-known, but small and financially speaking, defenseless platforms. You know, these were intentional and deliberate acts. And it's by virtue of the foregoing, Ofcom has issued plaintiffs with threats. They may be arrested and jailed by the UK for noncompliance. Once again, I'd be ashamed if that building burned down with everybody in it. It would break my fucking heart. You know, and then ultimately, Ofcom has not withdrawn the threats. The plaintiffs lawfully and bravely exercised their rights under the Constitution and have refused their demands. Yes. MN Public Records posted, ooh. We'll check that out in a second, chat. The 1812 motion to appeal by the UK was denied. Yep. So, I mean, I woke up choosing violence today. I mean, I'm wishing people in a foreign land a bad day. Oh, well. I don't plan on going to England anytime soon. So they're seeking a declaratory judgment and proper service of process, which if there's improper process, it's not binding. You can't do shit if it's not served properly. So they say there's no adequate remedy at law to handle this. There's a declaratory judgment for the farms for the same thing. You know, none of these actions comply with United States law or proper international process. There's no other adequate remedy. They want to declare this as unconstitutional. So they want to point out that they can't do shit here, and the courts have to step in and say nothing. There's no adequate remedy at law, and the declaratory judgment these orders are enforceable in the United States would resolve the controversy. And it's true, because these conflict with the Constitution and Section 230 of the CDA. So because of that, they want the court to come in and say, you have no power here. Fuck you, Britain. That's what we're looking for. The same thing for the farms. Same thing for the farms. And what do they want? A declaration the attempts to serve process were improper, a permanent injunction from issuing further orders without proper service through the legal treaties, that the orders are unenforceable as they violate the Constitution, the Speech Act, and the CDA. A permanent injunction prohibiting Ofcom from enforcing the OSA, and any other relief. Yes, fuck you, Keir Starmer. Yes, once again, like I said, I don't feel bad. Like, I hope somebody Allahu Akbar is that fucking office. Do something about it, fucking Brit fags. Fucking do something about it. Fucking do something about it. I just said hope somebody Allahu Akbars. Remember, you can't get mad. Those are diverse people. Your brave Asian and Pakistani populations. Just let them show their machetes around. So, yeah. Anyways, chat, that is it. The farms are going after the British government. Fucking based. Fucking suffer. Oh, they will be victorious. What court is this filed in? The DC District Court. The DC District Court. So, Sweet Bovine says, I call him Keir Stalin because he's Joseph Stalin incarnated. Well, some of you guys have to be careful what you say, but I could say whatever I want because I'm protected here. If only the Lotus Eaters had this freedom. Yeah, sadly they don't. Yeah, I hope they get the Charlie Hebdo treatment at Ofcom. I hope they get the Charlie Hebdo treatment. I fucking hope it happens. And the fucking police can't get there in time. And just a lot of baptisms happen. You know, let those Muslim guys come in and start baptizing people. Nothing wrong with getting baptized. So, did you see Shiloh Hendricks got disorderly conduct charges? I did not, but I'm going to take a look at that. She got disorderly conduct for the whole N-word thing. That's great. So, anyway, chat, fuck the British government. I hope every single one of these people gets butt fucked to death by a Muslim rape game while they're at it. Once again, that just makes you more diverse. That's not a threat. So suffer, Britain. Anyways, chat, that is it for us tonight. Tomorrow night, we're going to go over the Raja Jackson attack on the wrestler and what's going to happen with him there. And we'll get to some other things I think we'll try to do. We'll do Trooper Proctor's hearing on Saturday. We'll probably do that early on Saturday. And then, yeah, it's kind of the game plan. Shiloh Hendricks is that woman in Minnesota who kept on dropping the N-bombs at the park. So, yeah. Oh. We have bases in the UK. Maybe we start from there. Yeah, I'd be great if Trump's like, taking just fucking J-damn that building. J-damn it. Again and again and again. That'd be great. So, yeah, she didn't want somebody rooting through her purse. Yes. So, with that said, chat, we are going to wrap up here tonight. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for sticking around. Apparently, there is a link to the hearings tomorrow on the farms if you want to go find it. Debbie O gifting 5 subs. Also, chat, I know we didn't do a members only this week. We'll figure something out to make up for that for you guys over here on YouTube. Really want to get the Cardi B shit going, so we'll do that. Guys, remember the Cardi B trial's over. Tuesday morning, they will do opening arguments, and we'll catch that caught up. So, I will boycott all British restaurants in the U.S. Oh, yeah, because there's so many of those. Suffolk Gordon Ramsay. Although, does Marco Pierre White have a restaurant here? I actually like Marco Pierre White. I think, his stuff on the BBC Maestro channel, it's actually a lot more. Having seen the Gordon Ramsay masterclass on cooking, I like Marco Pierre White's takes on stuff a lot better. So I don't want Marco Pierre White to suffer, but if he's got to, sorry, buddy, you're going to have to suffer. Suffer. Yes, chat, we are going to locals right after this. We are going to locals. We are going to locals. We are going to locals. Real quick, Brandon, let's go. Brandon for $5 says the WNBA is cheering device fund, or you could provide the form of Clyde. Yes. Well, we had Clyde earlier, and Clyde is now with 2.0. I think they're sleeping. The Orange Cow for $5 says, I'm not a fan of flag burning, but you're 100% correct about the legality of it. I'm not a fan of it either, but you know what? It's, being an American's advanced fucking citizenship. It's advanced citizenship. Let's see here. EDW Raptor for $5 says 4chan, the modern day pirate radio. Rock on. Well, it's not what it used to be. BobTube for $5 Australian says they can't do that. You need a terrorism license and a fire license. That would stop them. Well, yeah, apply for a variance. And once again, Debbie, thank you for your support and your generosity there. Thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you. Marco Pierre White should have been famous in America. Yeah, he should have. But so let's see here. When did I miss anything else? Oh, hi, Captain Manning. Marco Pierre White is rumored to be conservative. I don't really care. He does really. You can, I don't have to hate your politics. He makes really good fucking food. And if you ever follow his instructions, you can cook some really good shit. I mean, he could be a dirty fucking cop. Well, he's not a communist, but he could be a very hardcore left guy. The fucking food's good. That's all I'm worried about. Not worried about his political ideas that second. He could teach me all of his secrets, and then he goes out the helicopter. So, got to be positive about it, chat. Got to be positive. All right. Well, we should give Jeremy Clarkson citizenship for standing up against the British. Yeah, a lot of you guys should be able to come over as refugees. A lot of you guys should. Yes, he can't be a commie if he knows food. Yes. Yeah, you like food, Sean? I never would have believed that. I know. Anyways, chat, we are going to wrap up. I will see you guys over at locals. Go down here below and give me about 5 minutes and we'll be hitting up locals. Good night, chat. Take care. Remember, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Even if you're deciding you want to see Ofcom destroyed in a very heinous way by evil men using energetic compounds and mixtures and reenacting what happened at the Charlie Hebdo offices inside the halls of that building, that does not mean you're guilty. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And you know what? J-Dan, the Aussie government too. Fuck them all. Fuck them both. Good night, chat. And take care. Hold on 1 second. Hey, babe, are you awake still? I don't think I can go to Britain anytime soon, based on what I just said, or any really parts of the Commonwealth. I guess I can't go to Canada either now, maybe. Oh, well, fuck y'all! Fuck y'all. I'll go to Asia instead.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops. Even when they nab you on illegal stops, just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy